Trump
Oh,
was
really?
talking about getting it for ourselves, but now we're
Right.
having BlackRock intervening to buy it, and they're one of the top shareholders of Elon Musk's company. Again, who knows who? Follow the money,
Yeah.
the symbolism, you'll start understanding the world a little bit better. Again, this is more evidence. I'm not making this up. This is legit stuff. It's theology, geopolitics. You can look it up. News and analysis. As we said before, they own.
It's so weird. They sure do. Wow.
Owning CNN, Fox News. It's like, so again, because I know they own
Even Facebook?
Walmart, Exxon. Exxon is supposed to represent, again, you're like, that's the Christian cross. No, that's the cross of Satan to God. Amazon, that's the devil's tail.
X's and Exxon, I'm just saying.
Yes.
1010.
Verizon, I did a breakdown of that etymology. It basically means data belt. They own they own Tesla. Chevron, Lowe's, your Visa for your credit cards, Uber.
Aloha and welcome to another show, guys. My special guest today is Brandon Kroll. And let me just say, you're going to want to buckle up for this one. Brandon and I dive headfirst into some seriously deep territory, connecting dots between symbolism, technocracy, spirituality, the tariffs, and Doge. Nothing's off the table here. And heads up, you'll definitely want to watch this one on video because Brandon shares some powerful visuals that tie everything together in a way that words just can't do justice. If you're loving these conversations and want to support this work, please be sure to follow, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And I hope you leave a positive review, especially if this kind of truth-telling matters to you. Also, I don't charge for my content on Patreon, but donations help a lot. And more importantly, please consider supporting Brandon directly. He's not working right now, and he devotes all his time to research and bringing this information forward. If you've gotten value from what he shares, please help him keep going. His donation link is in the show notes below. Before we jump in, I do want to thank Andrew, Kevin, Bay, and Stephanie for your support. You guys are amazing, and thank you so much. I hope you got my email. I'm starting to learn a little bit more about Patreon, and I will be adding some more older shows to Patreon, so be aware of that. Just because the show is a little bit older, it doesn't mean it doesn't have value in its content. I hope you get to listen to them as well. Enjoy the show. Okay, well, aloha, Brandon, and welcome back to the show. The last time we talked about some significance of the Twin Tower falling and the deeper meaning of Trinity, I believe we talked about God's been divorced. That's what we talked, and that's the last time we talked. That was like 6 months ago, and a lot has changed since then. But today, we're going to talk about Doge and the tariffs. So that's going to be exciting. I can't wait to hear what you got.
Yeah, again, from an occult perspective, I like militant centrist. So I'm over here trying to always view things from a biblical lens. Could this possibly be prophecy? Again, I'm not pitching that. Anything. I'm just always I'm scrutinizing with a very healthy dose of cynicism towards just politics in general. And yeah, so as you said, Doge. This is what we have for today. Can you see?
I can.
Yeah. So I'll send you this if you want to use it as a thumbnail.
Yes, please. I do.
I had a lot of fun creating this. The first 6 prompts did not do what I wanted it to do. Eventually, this thing popped up. I said that will do.
That will do. Yeah. Perfect.
And yes, rise of the technocrats. Now, are you familiar with what technocrat might be or technocracy in general?
No.
You will know by the end of this video. Technocracy is in essence is that by technology, transhumanism, basically run worlds similar to sectors like Hunger Games, you might say.
Okay.
And it's run by people that know how to make 15-minute cities or freedom cities. You know, when you hear about the fire and then they're building a city, it's like, wow, isn't that a coincidence, right? So that's just part of the thing. I'm throwing this out here, making a tour, as it were. just to get people to be wary. Again, I'm not for this side or that side. I'm just going to show you what's going on in the world.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to play this clip. I'm just showing this particular scene on the screen because I don't want to get hit with some kind of copyright thing. But when I was growing up, I watched a lot of old movies, right? And this particular one with Danny Kaye, the court jester. This was immediately what I was starting to think when I heard the term Doge first hit the scene in the government, right? Now, granted, I was familiar vaguely enough with the Doge meme with the dog / the Bitcoin that came out, and that didn't exactly, prompt me to look into this. But when I heard the government pick this title, made me raise an eyebrow. And this scene is actually very funny because he says, what did the Doge do? The Doge what? The Doge did what the Doge does. And needless to say, I wanted to look into what exactly is a Doge. So, again, I made a little satire clip when I posted this on Instagram, defining Elon's positional road at Doge with MAGA be like. And it says a Doge is an elected head of state in an Italian city-states during the medieval and Renaissance periods. The title Doge comes from the Latin word dux, which means leader. Now, a lot of people, again, are just saying, oh, Elon's actually dictating the presidency, right? So, hearing the word Doge, I was just chuckling a little bit, saying, well, in a sense, yes. I'm not sure. Have I mentioned before that I veer in libertarian sentiments, not political party?
No.
And the reason being is I very much like the concept of masculine libertarianism or tribal libertarianism. And by that, I mean, I speak up for myself. You do you, I do me. As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, right? Doesn't mean I impose anything upon you, but I do believe there should be some masculine principles laid out. There should be some leadership qualities within men, right? Be assertive.
Yes.
Do what a man's supposed to do. And I don't
Yes.
need the government to do that. I just lead, right? And that doesn't mean I dictate. I just lead. I do what God was designed man to do. So that tends to throw some people off because they're like, well, what do you, no, I don't need a political party to speak up for myself. I don't need a representative to speak on my behalf. I'll do it myself. Thank you. So then I looked into the symbol that they happen to use on the Doge.gov website. Now, granted, even when I have my thing for my donation, it's Scrollology with the $. In hindsight, probably should change it, but I'm also just demonstrating here on the screen. It could be the Caduceus staff with a snake wrapping around it.
Interesting.
Are you familiar with what the Caduceus staff is, or what it looks like a little bit more? I recognize it from its cousin equivalent, the staff of Asclepius, which is the medical symbol,
Yes.
or just a solo snake. I'm not sure if you can see clearly, but that's also Baphomet's junk. If you're looking for the dual snake.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I never saw that.
Yeah. And this is where I'm going to be elaborating how that connects to Elon today. Not, again, I was hinting, I was over here going, okay, well, that's sus, as the kids say these days. And of course, as I've always pitched to people, as I was saying pre-show, I'm not somebody who looks to the monetary solution of things. If anything, I see as render unto Caesar what is Caesar's, and unto God the things that were God's. Ultimately, I have a little bit more of an Amish mindset, or we don't use money unless we go into town.
Sorry, that's the AI.
Oh,
Sorry.
great. We're being monitored. Great.
It's the meeting notes. I'm sorry.
All good. It's all good.
I'll remove it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. As I was saying, I don't look into the monetary aspect of things as a solution. Only use money when you go into town. Ultimately, I don't like the concept of money. I like the idea of barter and trade. If optional, negotiation. I'll do this for you for said services, and we rearrange some sort of deal. Why do I say that? Well, allegedly, the originator of coinage was Hermes. Hermes is an equivalent of Tammuz. You can find him in the Bible, Ezekiel chapter 8. When you keep breaking down his name etymology, it eventually traces to Baal. Now, Hermes says the sun is father, the moon is mother, off the emerald tablets. And as I was explaining before, Hermes, the god of trade, world trade centers, just throwing that in a connection there. So when you're looking into where gold coins came from, that was supposed to represent the elemental sign of sun, right? And silver representing moon. And this happens to be Nimrod represented sun god worship, and the queen of the heavens, Ashtaroth in the Bible, represented moon god worship. So I was over here going, sun is father, the moon is mother, and now we have coins. Maybe there's something there, right? And the concept of what he's pointing to, is you got the bright moon and the dark moon, similar elements there, is that when the Pharisees approach Christ and they're saying, render unto Caesar or render unto God, and they're saying, well, sorry, or merge the two basically. And he's saying, no, you give to Caesar what's required of this time. You have to use it because you're in man's world, but don't forget. Yes.
Right.
But don't forget your spiritual priorities first and foremost to God your Father, and render unto God the things that are God's. Now, in Kabbalah, what they do, very much like Satan from the Garden of Eden to the traditions of men, that's what the Hebrew word Kabbalah means. It means traditions of men, and it's frequently condemned in the New Testament, but that's what it means. And it is the precepts of as above, so below. So if I could make a modern application, I'm going to take God's word and use it to justify my sin. Did God really say you can't eat from the garden of this tree? Right? When he's tempting Christ in the wilderness, he's giving him a verse to justify this action. And what does Christ do? Know where you're trying to go with that, but you're trying to twist the true interpretation of that and justify what you're trying to make me do with the temptation aspect, right? So you're trying to take God's word and merge it and justify what you do in your sin. And that is in contrast what Christ is. Christ is the word, and Satan is always trying to invert the word. So God and government, thumbs up, right? That's what they're saying. And God's like, no. The very definition of saint, set apart from things of this world. So science and scripture. Got to be very careful, because now you're saying evolution and scripture. No. So I'm just saying, that's kind of like the ground basis. So then you also could say like patriotism or saint. Patriot loves a country. A saint, you have your mind focused on things of heaven, right? So I'm just throwing that out there of a little bit where I'm going with this, because the love of money is the root of all evil, as we get in 1 Timothy 6:10. So I started looking a little bit around online, because I was like, well, I'm noticing a hat here, and the hat looks very familiar. And it's called, I might be butchering it occasionally, the corno ducal, or the ducal horn. A unique ducal hat was the headgear of symbol of the Doge of Venice. It was the stiff horn-like bonnet, which was made of gemmed brocade or cloth of gold and worn as a kimura. The ducal horn was a fine linen cap with a structured peak at the back, reminiscent of the Phrygian cap, a classic symbol of liberty.
Interesting.
I'm not sure. Do you remember me covering this particular cap before?
No, I don't think so.
By the end of this, you're going to be looking at some hats. You're going to learn a lot about hats today. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Or liberty caps, right? And I'm just going to read this little bit here. The red Phrygian cap of liberty were long associated with the theme of liberty in European and colonial cultures. They were used as icons during the American Revolution and worn during the French Revolution in the late 1700s, and came to symbolize allegiance to the Republican cause.
Interesting.
So just a little bit more visual. Like I said, some of this I'm just going to be right over. I'm just showing for visual purposes. You will note that this is the same hat as our U.S. military for the Army when they use it for their logo.
Really?
Yep. You'll notice that they have it for the United States Senate, the red hat.
Huh.
Right?
They do, yeah.
The Scythians have it. A mitre hat, similar to the Pope, Mithra. Mithra wears it, and he's affiliated with the quote, as above, so below, similar to the Baphomet. And that immediately made me go, okay, so it's one and the same person, just another variant equivalent. What else here do we have? Anyways, you see it all over the culture, but also it's connected with liberty.
Yes. Where does she have it on?
So it's either a spike crown, a red hat
Oh,
could also equal sun.
yeah, the corona. I remember you talked about that with the corona.
Yes, exactly. So
Mm.
again, I'm gonna be breaking it down because the more I see it, the more I start scratching my head, saying I don't think we should be promoting this. Um, just my 2 cents, because it also could connect to the Santa Claus hat.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Um, and again, I could do that one for you if we're still around for Christmas. I hope I can
Yes.
recycle my Christmas episode for you.
Yes. Oh, awesome.
And again, it's a New Year's festival hat, but it also
Mm.
does connect with the Persian goddess Anatis, Libertas, Ishtar. It very many variants. But I started asking myself, red hats, Republican cause, MAGA, make America great again. Is that a cause of liberty? And this is part of the thing we're breaking down today. Are people a little bit under illusion putting on these caps? Well, I don't know. What's the Hermetic, again, Hermes, of alchemical traditions, Kabbalah, red and black, are often used to represent the principles of soul, which is fire, sun, and terra, earth, respectively. Red symbolizes the fiery, the solar, right, sun god when you're wearing the red hat, and masculine principles. While the black represents the dark, terrestrial, and the feminine principles. Space X, right?
Mm-hmm.
The combination is seen as a necessary balance for spiritual growth and transformation. The complexities of the human experience, the balance of opposing forces, and the pursuit of spiritual growth and transcendence. Now, I found it interesting because, as I said before, I think it's kind of widely known, but some people do not know. MAGA means high priest position on the Church of Satan website.
What?
Yeah, that I'm
Wow.
with visuals. That will, by the time you go, wait a minute, that's a kind of freaky. And even what's her face, the Marina Abramovich,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
she even called Trump the Great Magician.
Mm.
Yeah. So if a witch is giving you an endorsement that this chaos, and order out of chaos, he's creating so much chaos, it's a good thing. It'll help us wake up. And now we're in a thing called the Golden Age of Aquarius.
Yeah, I guess we are, aren't we?
That's what he
Yeah.
keeps talking about. So it does make me
Trump says that?
wonder. Yeah.
Oh,
We're
wow.
now in the Golden Age. He said it several times during the
I think
inauguration.
I remembered that part. Yes.
Yes. And it's just, it does connect with the Titans, that particular phrase, and it just makes me go, okay, got to be cautious because that terminology is in the occult. You didn't put your hand on the Bible. Why is that? It's like a vampire. I can't touch garlic. I can't touch this. Right?
He he didn't do it on his first inaugural either?
He did do it on his first one, but didn't do it on the second. And instead, what he did, he had his hand down to his side and hand up. So what was he doing? Hand up, hand down.
Wow.
Because if you touch it, you're acknowledging Christ with the New
Uh-huh.
Testament. You can't do that if you want to possibly claim a title here, which he's already been called the Prince of Peace on his Menorah Award. Kind of sus, again, as the kids say. So something I found interesting, I'm reading this book, Rulers of Evil by Tupper Saucy. If you can print out an PDF online, might be your cheapest option. Otherwise, it's usually $500 to $2,000 for getting this particular book. Yeah. So I think it's worth looking into because I was reading this particular part here. It says receiving authority to govern requires taking an oath, which binds the initiate to a code of rights and responsibilities. Interestingly, our word oath is cognate with the Hebrew word pronounced oath. I can't pronounce that particular word, sorry, which is the word translated mark. As Genesis 4:15, the Lord set a mark upon Cain. Knowing this, we may have accurately say the Lord put Cain under oath. An oath visibly represented by the various insignia governments display. The mark then stands for a covenant between God and Cain. It is not the all-encompassing sort of covenant which God struck with the humbly obedient Abraham. So just as God made one with a man that was loyal to God, he also said, Cain, if you want to be the ruler of all the bad people of evil, be my guest. Go ahead, right? And that's part of the thing that I'm trying to break down for some folks. What's the best way to define this? Is that when you look up the word votum, connects to it, it can mean a mark, right?
Okay.
And that means vote, right? And Anton LaVey says that, yeah, those who foolishly think that voting and ritual magic does not coexist, they do. And you were putting your energy, you were putting your consent, an oath, a mark. It could be with your hand or with a signature, right? And it's a sign of consent. Now let's break down the very word government. Govern, fourth definition of Oxford Dictionary, means to control. Where we get the word mental from, in Latin, ment for mind control.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I never
So
knew that.
you projecting, saying, I want a government over me, what is that saying? I want a king, right? What is God's? I don't want a king. I don't want someone to be an intermediator between you. No, I am your God. You don't need any other leader, a Doge. You don't need no kings. You don't need no stinking kings. You got me. And this is what we don't seem to understand. Even Hosea 8:4 says the paraphrasing, they coordinate kings and they elect princes, not by me. So what are we doing? We're saying, yeah, this is God ordained. No, it's not. But what is man doing? We are putting our mark, saying we want another man to represent us. Putting
Wow.
a mediator between you and God. So you thought the Pope was just bad. This is what we do with politicians every single day. And then on top of that, what's the classic thing within when you get accused of something? What's a classic thing that we're just impulsively prone to do? Well, you did this.
Take
That's
sides.
right. And you prompted me to do that. Or the Adamic excuse, as I like to call it. Well, it wasn't me. It was Eve. It wasn't me. It was the serpent. You keep passing the buck, but
Yeah.
nobody ever takes responsibility. It was the lesser of two evils, but you still chose evil. And what's God saying? Just be transparent with me. I'm God. I already know all. But just be frank with me. You're too scared to do that. But this is what we constantly are doing with government. And that's part of the thing why I'm warning people with this particular stuff. Because Mithras, this could be equivalent of Baphomet, so just be wary when I'm reading this, an ancient Persian god of light, or the sun. Now, Statue of Liberty, radiant crown of light, spark, corona, as we were saying, eventually regarded as a ruler of material and spiritual universe. In 1550s, from the Latin Greek Mithras, from Indo-Iranian Mitram contract, whence Mithras contractual partner, friend, conceptualized as a god. So, a god of contracts. He's a god of oaths, a god of light, and a god of the sun. Now, when you are going into the military, you're signing an oath. I pledge to blah, 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 blah. Interesting. As I said before, soldier, soul, a sun god.
That's right. Yeah.
Dyer, one who is to die for a sun god. So when you're even doing this, you're contracting yourself to a sun god ideals. Well, no, I'm defending my country. What did I just read? Material and spiritual universe. Material, that could be anything produced from the ground, right? We just said soul and terra when I was talking about the red cap, the red and black mirroring off each other. This is, again, trying to tell folks, patriot or saint, you can't be both. And this is what people don't seem to get. When I'm saying, if you're still using words like illegal, or you're saying our border, what is this ultimately saying? You're caring more about earthly temporary borders over somebody's eternal soul, right? Granted, are we in a crappy situation? 100%. But what are we promoting? Are we saying we need to get a politician and legislation to fix it? Or are we, as the early ecclesia did, changing the empire by our own personal testimony and our actions and doing things in the community that make people go, why are you so different? Why aren't you doing the usual thing that everybody else does? Because I'm a Christian. I have faith in something that's not of this world, right? It prompts people to ask, as opposed to the other one, you know what? We're just not going to talk about politics around the holidays. Right? Right? So it should. And why do I bring up this Mithra guy? Well, from Mithraism to Freemasonry, the concept of lodges and Mithra cults, they used to meet in caves underground. And a lot of Iranians used to believe the sky was made of stone. But the very premise was very, very similar to Masonic lodge meetings with tier degrees and all that. So I'm just bringing that up, something to be wary of. So we're having a thing in this country where this guy, P. Hexeth, he's got all these tattoos on him. Now, when you look up this particular one on his right chest, that is the cross for Jerusalem. It is a Masonic affiliated. And we're getting rid of all these gangs, quote unquote, in the U.S. right now with ICE. But we're not getting rid of these kinds of people. Why? Because these Masons, Jesuits, are usually 90.5% of the time you are the people you're putting into your office with your vote. And they love that, right? Because you are consenting, I want a representative. And these people have an inverted word of interpretation of God's word. These are people who practice Kabbalah. Now, again, don't take my word for it. Let's go to Morals and Dogma. As Albert Pike said, quote, Freemasonry is the search for light, as you will see, leads directly to the Kabbalah, traditions of men, Kabbalah. And this veers off into wars, right? Proxy wars, corporate wars, military-industrial complex, call it what you will. They make money off of your service to the industry. New Age, we can find God within America, which was the inception of America, and big mega churches. Now, again, that particular cross on his chest is connected with the Knights Templar. And initially, they arrived into the Holy Land on a mission to reclaim some treasure that they believed was rightfully theirs. According to modern Templar historians, this is their area of expertise, Tim Wallace Murphy and Christopher Knight, the knights who banded together as the Knights Templar were part of a European royalty descended from the Jewish elders who had fled the Holy Land around 70 AD during the destruction of the temple, when it was invaded by the Romans. So I found that interesting because 70 AD, the star of Remphan would be the same as the red and black. And I think I have a visual that's popping up with that to show how that mirrors, because it's as above, so below, conjoining together. So.
What's his other tattoos? He has We the People.
Just vote. God wills it is basically what that is. That's a Catholic phrase.
Oh.
And this is frequently why I'm always, again, I'll show how this connects with Trump towards the end with the term Catholic. In essence, when you're saying we have a holy land, I chuckle. Because what did Christ say in John 18:36? My kingdom is not of this world. A dispensationalist would say, no, we need to have a holy land. There's still a holy people. We need to do this. And God's saying, no, covenantalism, which is a good thing to look into, or Stephen Sizer, I can send you his email, phenomenal man, breaks down how Christians are basically New Testament is an updated user terms of agreement. If you want to be grafted in, you have to obey and abide by God's laws. There's no special race. There's no special ethnicity and stuff like that. You are grafted in if you are obedient to the word of God. And they, in contrast, are saying, no, there's still something sacred about a land. There's still something sacred about it. And God's like, no. My kingdom is in heaven. Our citizenship in Philippians 3:20 is in heaven. What they're doing is saying, no, we need to fight for them. No, That's never been a commandment by a whole time Christ was here on earth. He never said, well, what about bless those, and curse those that curse thee? Yeah, that was talking specifically to Abram. That does not translate into the other aspects that they're trying to get us into. The other one is the chopped up snake, join or die, which connects with Ben Franklin during the American Revolutionary War. Uh, this one I'm not too particularly sure, but a sword on a spinal like looking thing
Oh, yeah.
does make me scratch my head. I don't think that's exactly a good thing. I would assume very much occultic. It's probably a transhumanist um symbol, I would almost imagine. Just a theory.
Mm, interesting.
Um I think did I do that one with you? In my episode Lesser of Two Evils, We the People, there was a phrase affiliated, the voice of the people is the voice of God.
Mm.
And that comes from a Whig tract that they would hand out, similar to the modern tracts. It was part of a Whig tract that they hand out. And I heard this phrase first. Was it Andrew Johnson, the guy that's a president after Lincoln? He said this particular phrase, and I immediately was going, "The what? You're telling me that the masses were typically stupid when they group together? Let's just be honest here. We don't have a good reputation as mankind grouping together and coming up with an idea. You're telling me that their voice is the will of God." That's Kabbalah 101, is you're telling me that man knows God's mind? God's will? No. God's word is how you do it. Remember, thy word I've hid in my and then we have thy word I've hid in my heart that may not sin against thee, and then thy word is a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path. You're telling me in essence that man knows better than God with that particular phrase. So and again, that connects with the we the people aspect. That was just making me go. So you've had Flat Earth Dave on, right?
Yes, I have. Yes.
This is we were talking. I had him on for a session as well, and we were. I pitched the thing. I said, Baphomet. That's interesting with the Space Force logo, right? And we just had Katy Perry of. Oh,
I know. Unbelievable.
I don't
I
even.
don't even. I don't. Yeah. I don't. Yeah. Anyway.
Rockets look like dildos. I don't understand this. It's like this. Do you see how stupid that looks right now? I don't know. It's just me. Just me. But I found I was pointing out. Do you notice anything particularly with Baphomet? Look at the base.
No. Is it like a hat?
He's sitting on.
Okay. Oh yeah. Right. Yes.
And what did Lucifer say? I will ascend to be like the God Most High. Now, if you're looking from biblical cosmology, right, and you're talking about Noah's Ark, let's say the waters raise up, right? So it's like you have Noah's Ark, it's going up, it's going up, it's going up, and then we just stop right up here, right? Because the waters from heaven came down, the waters from the below came, and so you're sitting right about here. And right around the throne of God is often said, I don't know exact scriptures. If you want to talk to the cosmologist, talk to Josh Monday or whatever. But there is a rainbow around the throne of God, right? And so when he goes back down with the ark, what does God give him?
A rainbow.
Right? Because you're this close to the throne of God. I'm just letting you know, right? That I'm going to be a God of my word. And here's a little token to remember how close you were to heaven without actually being here. You probably saw the reflection, I would imagine. When you're sitting up there for 40 days and 40 nights, and you're waiting for the waters to go down, you probably look up. I would imagine you see a rainbow if you're that close to God, right?
Yeah, but I thought the rainbow was given to them as a promise that he would never destroy the whole earth again by water.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, but when you're in the ark, you get pushed that close up to God,
Yeah.
you're being raised. What's a little token to remember me by? Right?
Yeah.
And a promise that again, you were this close to the throne of God. I'm just giving you a promise I'm never going to do this again. Right? Because you were that close to the glory of God. It's just a speculation for me. But the thing I found interesting, because if this is Space Force, do you remember who created it?
Elon, right? No? Oh, Trump. That's right. Trump did. That's right.
And it's a goat.
It's
And
a
they
goat.
called Trump the greatest of all time. You see it?
Oh, like the
Down.
antlers. Oh yeah, I see it now. Yes. Oh, weird.
So I just said he's sitting on the dome of Earth, right?
Oh my God, yeah. That is so interesting.
Do you see anything here? Planet Trump? He's sitting on
Oh
the
yeah.
world.
Mm-hmm.
And he's holding. I did an episode Planet Trump. If folks want to look into it. He's holding the thing that the Pope carries, which has a little
Oh.
cross at the top. It
Mhm.
represents your domain is heaven, earth, and below Sheol. He's holding that in one hand. And he's holding the staff of an eagle on the other. But he's sitting over the magician
Huh, you're
tarot
right.
card. Yeah,
Huh.
with a halo behind the magician. Like I said, solar, red, sun. And his card is right next to the Tower of Babel
Hmm.
as it's getting hit with lightning because God
Hmm.
didn't want it to come up to his. So for me, I'm just looking at that alone going, guys, what's this? Oh, it's just you're overthinking it. Am I? Because you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Wow.
You zoom in on these things with the star. You could literally look it up. Economics Magazine, Planet Trump edition. If you look into the stars, it's got faces in the
Huh.
stars.
Oh, weird.
And that made me go, okay, so what are they telling us? The angels came down and had affairs with daughters of men, Genesis 6:4, Enoch 6. Angels were known as star walkers, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
they're telling us now in New Ageism, oh, we're star seed. We can go back and become like, where we came from after the Big Bang and all this stuff. This is what I'm seeing. And I'm going, okay, the miracle juice from 2020 all has a little bit of meteorite in it. The Iranians believe the sky was made of stone. Angels are known as star walkers. Are you possibly telling me that if we go into this route that they're going to pitch after like a Project Bluebeam thing, you take this mark, you can become like gods, immortal, like a star in Hollywood, right? And then you're immortalized and you join the Belt of Orion like the Occult does with the Hollywood
Hmm.
Walk of Fame? Don't know, but I'm seeing faces and stars and it's making me go, there's symbolism. I'm just looking at it with okay. I don't need to read all of this, but if folks want to cross-reference my work, again, you can roll your eyes. All I'm bringing up is the highlights. But this is the New Yorker. In the world, according to Elon Musk's grandfather, it's an article that was written in September of 2023 by Jill Lepore. And talking about Joshua Heldman, his grandfather, and was bringing out the international conspiracy in health. I was thinking, aha. Heldman blamed the collectivist internationalist conspiracy from Kennedy to Kenyatta for centralized health schemes that include national health insurance. That was making me think about a little bit what's going on right now again, and various pharmaceuticals, including fluoride in the water. Another conspiracy is what this person's putting there, all of which he considered anti-Christian infringements of human liberties. And some people were not alarmed by all of this. He wrote it was because of mind control. When a Christian subscribes to this, it is a result of the concentrated, intentional brainwashing done by the international conspiracy.
No.
Now, this gentleman was racist. This gentleman, they say, was paranoid. Maybe some things he did know. Maybe some things he was kind of being a little bit like an Alex Jones, saying something but never any solution, right? But then I was looking on Boston Rare Maps because I wanted to look more into this Heldman. What was he talking about with his counter solution of technocracy? And he was part of Technocracy Inc., the Technate of America. You notice anything here?
No.
Gonna take Canada as the pick.
Oh, okay. Oh, is that a long time ago? Is that recent?
This is 1940.
Oh my God. So that's all of North America and
Mexico,
Iceland. Oh,
Greenland,
Greenland. Okay.
and it goes all the way down to Venezuela. All of it. All of it. Now, take a picture of that in your brain, and let's go back 2 slides.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
What's he sitting over?
Exact same thing.
Entire continent of America. This is 2017. This is what? 67 years later. Right? And he's got who running his Doge? The grandson of this guy. Right? Does that not okay, that's just again. Not I'm showing visually. I'm showing you visually if you're watching on YouTube or wherever. And again, this is his grandfather standing in front of Technocracy Inc.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
That map in the background.
Mm-hmm.
And the motto, in science we trust.
Interesting. What's that other sign say? Have you
Integrated technocracies designed for America. Maybe a new America because it's shadowed, but
right?
that's roughly what it says. So, again, I'm reading this stuff, say whatever. In science we trust. Again, another article in 2021. It's kind of sad that we had to take this long to get articles out about the topic. But back in the first half of the 20th century, a group called Technocracy Incorporated wanted to reorganize society by putting scientists in charge. The movement flamed out, but its underlying message still appears in many in the Silicon Valley area. In October 13th, again, Columbus Day, ironically enough, 1940, a Regina chiropractor named Joshua Heldman, Elon's grandfather, appeared in city courts and faced 2 charges under the Defense of Canada Act, a fantastic and extremely rare 1940 map depicting the geopolitical program of Technocracy Incorporated. At the time, an influential organization fueled by the Depression era, anxiety, quack economics, isolationism, and more than a soupcon of fascism. Not me. This is 3 to 4 years before we knew so much that Elon was going to be taking a very center stage in Trump's administration. Hence, I'm just saying, okay. And so they were, again, the map envisions much of America's and Eastern Pacific basin as merged into a single technic of America that's ruled by technically skilled, empirically driven, and nonpartisan elite. The technate is shown stretching from Greenland and all the way down to Venezuela, Colombia, and all that stuff. The key to this project was the construction of a chain of far-flung defense bases. We need to get Greenland for our defense, and they're not doing a proper job up there. Okay, along with the technate's border, as shown on the technate of America map offered here, so on and so forth. So opposition to America, entry into wars. So we're trying to create an isolationist. Some of these big words, I'm telling you. We're trying to create this concept is that if we can deter the problem before it comes into our jurisdiction, we're good. And what has Trump just recently said? We want to create an iron dome over America, right? A golden dome. So you're just rebranding, but still pitching the same thing here, right? Again, as I was just going further down a thing, it says, in keeping with Technocracy Inc.'s authoritarian tendencies, the technic would ensure its security by enacting a continental integration and mobilization and a complete conscription of men, materials, machines, and wealth by the government of the United States, which were to be placed before all other objectives of the American peoples. Now, what is a phrase that's affiliated with the Antichrist when they shall start saying peace and safety?
Then the end will come.
Yes, like a sudden travail upon a woman that is in labor. Now, he said that phrase during his inauguration.
I didn't know that.
Many don'ts, and there's some people, I'm just saying, blasphemy radars aren't going off enough, but then I'm seeing this kind of stuff going, I think we have the technology to implement this stuff, don't you? And they're like, no, we still got another 20 years. I can't personally afford the rent I'm doing even now. You really think we can pull that off for another 20 years? I don't think so. So am I being paranoid, or is there a little bit more to look at with the Silicon Valley thing that this person pitched, right? During the inauguration, big tech bosses take center stage at Trump inauguration.
Yep.
Notable faces such as the guy, I can't pronounce his name, head of Google. You have Jeff Bezos. You have Tim Cook of Apple CEO. And now you also had Mark Zuckerberg.
I know. Unbelievable.
Huh? And did you know, and I think it's in the third one down, updated user terms of agreement for Meta, possible cases for imprisonment.
What?
And shared. Yeah, that is not. Yeah. Yeah.
For what?
Oh, just for basically sharing things that might be not conducive to the laws, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, what kind of laws? Because right now you're telling me if you vandalize a Tesla, that's 20 years imprisonment. No chance for negotiation. So, if I say something that I am pro the humanitarian aspect of people in the Middle East, you're going to say I'm a domestic terrorist and get locked up for being anti-Semitic by your definition, when I'm pro the Semitic rights of another individual group that's there. I'm just not pro the one that you favor. You follow what I'm saying? Like this is where they're going with this. Just warning people, we need to be cautious because the Pentagon is getting pretty big into this AI stuff, and they signed an AI deal to help commanders plan for military maneuvers. Now, granted, yes, they've been using this for a little bit of time and stuff like that. It's just something I'm finding interesting because I'm going to connect AI to Musk, and it's just basic arithmetic. Peter Thiel, this is a big time buddy of Elon Musk. They're both from South Africa. Both grew up under the same, what do you call it? Apartheid state, shall we call it, as it were, as of such. From Business says, who's afraid of Peter Thiel? The new biography suggests we all should be. How Thiel in Silicon Valley funded J.D. Vance's sudden rise to become the vice president. Again, I always say to folks, I'm just against lobbying in general, but if somebody who is a billionaire is wanting for you to get a certain position, I think it would behoove us to be wary of their intentions behind that. First Thiel, now Trump's new billionaires threaten free speech. Okay. So now you're telling me that billionaires are going to be connected with this technocracy aspect, so I can't insult certain individuals or I might get deported because I'm just not part of the party, right? In essence is what they're pitching is for the party, of the party, and by the party. And if you're against the party, well, then you're anti-American, and therefore we gonna, get rid of you because you're not part of the thinking as we're all thinking. So what, you want a collective consciousness and everybody only thinks of what the state thinks is best, and we take a single man, a populist, right? He's pitching as a populist. We take his word as being the word for all of us. He speaks on behalf of all of us because Patriot and Trump is synonymous as the same thing. You follow where I'm going? That's again, this was Biden. I'd be saying the same thing. That is dangerous. When you equate a definition or a word with a singular entity, right? Because then you merge the two, and they're representing me. They're representing me. No, that's codependent Stockholm syndrome. When you are loyal to the state and you think that they can't do any wrong. So a euphoric tech industry is ready to celebrate Trump and itself. The elite in Silicon Valley are set to revel in their new clout, right? Because they're all representing during. Basically, it's like corporate sponsors all at the inauguration. That long weekend, the inaugurated parties as president-elect, yada, yada. Peter Thiel, company reportedly helped NSA's spy program. Now, what did we just hear with Alexa? Now Amazon is that they can now start recording programs in your home, and and it's just part of your agreement automatically. You can't opt out of they can just record whatever you're saying in your house. That now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's Amazon? Ooh, that's scary.
Mm-hmm. That's just one.
That's just one.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you got Apple and stuff. That's just, again, Peter Thiel, the tech billionaire influencing top members of the Trump administration. Again, Peter Thiel, I defer to Israel when the video surfaces the Palantir tech giant struggling to answer questions about the client's use of AI-generated kill lists. Kill lists?
That that's
What?
crazy.
Right? It's like, okay, so now you're telling me there's a list, it's connected with AI, and it's connected to this technocracy thing, authoritarian tendencies. Again, this
Wow.
is not left to this is just me going, that's a lot, just what am I reading here, right? When you just read between the lines, right? Data analysis is basically what I'm doing. Feels Palantir, Israel agrees strategic partnership for battle tech. So again, he is aligned with this whole thing with the battleships and putting AI on this stuff for military procedures.
Right.
So again, Economist Magazine is constantly flirting with Trump, and they're showing him on a whole wad of cash with a gasoline tank and a lighter burning money. Now, what some folks are not aware of, Bitcoin. The White House has revealed that the U.S. could potentially use its gold reserves to acquire more Bitcoin.
Did they find the reserves, by the way?
I haven't heard too much about that, have you?
No, I stopped hearing about it, so I don't know what's going on.
Right?
Do we have gold or do we not have gold?
Just like the drones. Where did they all go? Was there an alien invasion? I don't know. All right, they got us all hyped up.
Yeah.
It quietly disappears. And they throw another big atrocity or something big going on in the world, and we all forget about it, right? But so pop it up, and we're like, wait a minute, what happened to that?
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. And I love that, Mia. Some of us are over here just going, you know, before the next war, I just want to ask about elements that were leading up to it. Right? Because there's moments prior to some big catastrophe, international incident, that you have to understand the micro things. And it's years later that people like myself, I'm gonna go read this this book about this history event that kind of prompted the brackets of funneling us towards this war scenario. But we don't really teach that in schools, right?
No. Yeah.
That's dangerous. That's very dangerous.
Yep.
And again, that's why they call biblical prophecy and history conspiracy theories, because it's too much to think. I just look, give me my cookie cutter, give me my ice cubes in the dish. I don't want to just think about that stuff, right? Make it simple for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's again, Bitcoin. Isn't that invisible? I can't hold Bitcoin in my hand. I don't like this concept, but is this part of the design of a technocratic thing? Because meanwhile, China's gold reserves have reached a record high of 73.6 million fine troy ounces in February. And according to the past 2.5 years, China's gold reserves have increased by 11 million ounces.
Wow.
You know, China is laughing at Trump for buying Bitcoin, and the U.S. is buying digital fool's gold while China buys the real thing. Now, this is my theory when you're talking about the tariffs. And I'm going to connect it all. It's going to seem like, oh, yeah, but at the very end, it's a nice little bow.
Okay.
You'll get it. You'll get it. Need to rewatch? Feel free. That's what this stuff is for, folks. Well, you can, because this might be stuff that gets kicked off soon enough. I don't know. Now, Warren Buffett said that tariffs is a form of warfare. It's an economic warfare, right? And when people are telling me they're all worried about the BRICS alliance and they're looking at this biblical lens, like, oh, the ones that rule the earth are going to be all the guys over there, I don't think so. I think it's going to be America. And why do I suspect that? Because being an antichrist system, right, you need to go digital. Everything needs to be controlled. It needs to be monitored. What if the real reason Doge is doing what it's doing is it's not getting rid of government waste? It's getting rid of government programs, dismantling the government for programs that are going to be obsolete by 2030 when they want their new world order. So we won't need a Department of Education because you're going to get plugged into a pod. You're going to be a human antenna for us. I don't like that. Well, you voted for it, did you not? Right? Your mark. You put your mark on this list here. Well, so we're all worried about BRICS. And what if everybody's saying he's being crazy? He's being stupid, right? This is what he has said about the matter regarding Bitcoin and how he plans he might solve the national debt with this digital fool's gold. What?
Well, that's later we'll pay off our $35 trillion, hand him a little crypto check, right? We'll hand him a little Bitcoin. and wipe out our $35 trillion.
But how do you want it to be more prominent in America? How will that work?
Oh, it's going to work easily. It's already prominent. It's moving along. It's very loosely regulated. That's one of the reasons it's moving along. But it is a different form of a currency, and it's going to end up benefiting the country. But if we shut it down, like, Biden's trying to shut it down, Biden doesn't have the intellect to shut it down. Can you imagine this guy's telling you to shut something down like that? He has no idea what the hell it is. But if we don't embrace it, it's going to be embraced by other people. It's a massive thing already. Did you read where it's bigger than any company in the world already? I mean, if you look at the market, it's bigger than many countries. It's a very big thing. If we're not going to be the leader, we have the people that are the leaders. I know some of them. They're very smart. And if we don't embrace it, other countries are going to embrace it. Other countries will anyway. But we
He knows some very smart people. Who? Scott Bessent, aka George Soros' protege, that he's now the treasurer of our secretary.
George Soros?
No, his Scott Bessent, who's a protege for Soros, which is
Oh gosh.
so he's not anti-Soros because he literally just hires a guy who's equivalent of a deputy, right? He learned the same trade. So
Like that guy, Soros.
a lot of people
Oh.
like Soros, but what Elon said, I will be the George Soros of the right.
Ugh. Okay, I get it.
Why the frick would you say that, man? But I would be like, I'll be the Adolf of the East. Right? That's almost the equivalent if you know.
Yes, I never thought about it that way. Yeah.
Let's say, I'm going in extreme
Yeah.
terminology, but if you know what they do in the dark and all the things they fund and all the hurt that they're causing, why would you compare yourself to being that guy?
Mm.
It's a very stupid analogy, right?
It is. It is. But sometimes these guys don't think when they talk. They just talk.
Or are they actually thinking and we're just not seeing that is like, again, so if Soros is control so many liberal bias things and all this, blah, 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 now you're telling me you want to go full on with the right side doing that, but because you're Elon and you're under Trump's hedge of protection and approval, that we just go, yes, Master Elon, whatever you say, Elon. I'm laughing my butt off. We're now pro EV vehicles? I thought we were against these things. I thought liberals only bought these things, and now they're like,
Right.
Look,
Now they don't like it now.
you got conservatives defending it, and I'm chuckling because they're saying that liberals are all burning that stuff. I highly doubt that because Canada was starting to audit something with Elon. So would you be doing this to collect some insurance fraud? And Slash to start setting the brackets of if you oppose the administration, we're going to arrest you and put you in 20 years in jail. And then you also have the people, like with a lot of school shootings, monkey see, monkey do. I saw it on the news, so I got inspired and I went forward to do it too. But the original was I did it to myself so I could collect the money, right?
Right, right.
That I personally am suspecting, just again, because I don't buy rich people telling me the official narrative, because most of the time you guys are conspiring against me. Go away. I just have a healthy distrust of governments. But again, Economist Magazine showing us back in 1988, money burning, but a phoenix rising from ashes.
Interesting.
Yes. And I found it interesting that this little tuft right here is also the Baphomet.
Oh, really?
Also the fleur-de-lis of France. Not by accident.
Hmm.
But they're showing a phoenix, right? A phoenix coin, perhaps. When you look at this little slash thing, it looks like the grok thing, the gork, with Elon.
Okay.
It's the same symbol. I have something with a different presentation I just did. But it's the same symbol right there. A 10 equals X.
Right. X. Yeah, I remember you doing that.
Yes. And they're affiliating. Trump is like a phoenix. Well, it's an eagle. Yeah, originally eagle, phoenix. There's a root there. There's a root there. That's the thing is people keep, I'm like, just go for the root. Everybody keeps swinging at branches, go for the root. And when you understand the root, you can start seeing the pattern of what they're showing us. So, smartphones to soon become obsolete.
Really?
BCIs, and I'm going to be reading a little something on that, like Neuralink are the way forward, says Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a former Klaus Schwab World Economic Forum global leader.
Hmm.
You think he's just dumped all ties? Well, yeah, he did. His brother, Kimball Musk, who's, by the way, on the Chipotle board, just for folks to know.
Food?
Yes.
Chipotle? What?
I was when I was looking around, I was over here like, well, that just takes Chipotle off the menu. Guys, you're affiliated with it. The Babylon Musk, as I like to call him, this is his younger brother. He's noted frequently for wearing the cowboy hats, as it were. And then recently at the Met Gala, about 3 or 4 years ago, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
he was wearing Novus Ordo Seclorum onset jacket.
Oh, really?
World Order.
It's underneath. You can see through it.
Yeah, it's like it's imprinted on the back, but it's
Oh.
again, if folks want to Google it specifically, I'm just telling you it's there. I can't exactly make it perfect because white on white is very stupid to read.
Yeah.
On top of that, Ivanka Trump was also a young global leader. A lot of folks don't know this, and she was honored as a young global leader by the World Economic Forum in 2015. So, and this is the White House archives, by the way, published on March 7th, 2022. No, this is not AI. They're admitting it. So, again, you got two global leaders. Zuckerberg was also a global leader. He was at the inauguration. You're telling me all these people just suddenly turned over a new leaf. We're full on MAGA now, right?
Apparently.
You know, I'm not buying the narrative. It's like, yes, I converted, but I'm only going to worship the Baphomet. The Baphomets of Satan. We Christianized him. Christian Baphomet. Stay alone. You see what I'm saying? It's the birds of a feather flock together, and also a leopard can't change its spots. This is what I'm trying to point out to folks. If you were actually against all of this, you start calling it out, but you don't. And instead, I start looking into who do you know, or your family history, and I start uncovering, going, are you a ploy? You're getting us to think about all this feel good. So let's hear Elon in his own voice at a event saying that AI will provide universal income for all.
About mass unemployment. This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice. Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it's mean that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robots taking over.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. The harder challenge, much harder challenge, is how do people then have meaning? Like a lot of people, they derive their meaning from their employment. So if you don't have, if you're not needed, if there's not a need for your labor, how do you, what's the meaning? Do you have meaning? Do you feel useless?
But not for long. The future is going on. Anyways, yeah, so this is Elon Musk, and I'm basically telling Republicans, universal income? That sounds quite Marxist. So you're basically telling me universal income is a euphemism for digital communism. And this is me, again, quoting Newsmax.
Wow.
That's right.
AI, X.
Yes, but again, A1, I9, X. X is at the very bottom of the Hermetic Kabbalah tree of life. I'm like, Corona was at the top, X was on the bottom.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, wow, indeed. Insert Owen
Pause for a
Wilson.
quick
Wow.
moment to ask for your support. If you're enjoying what you're hearing and feel like we've earned it, we'd be so grateful if you could leave us a rating or review. Your honest feedback really helps us grow and reach more people who love exploring these fascinating topics. And if you think this episode would resonate with someone you know, don't forget to share it with them. Mahalo nui loa for being part of our journey. Now, back to the show.
Elon again. He said no phones in the future because Neuralink. And then he also says this, and this is cnet.com. I mean, there's a couple other articles, but he says specifically, we are summoning the demon with artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I know he was against a lot of these things because
He's against, or
yeah,
again, it's like
because there was no
against that. In the meantime, it's again, think like Osborn Inc. from the Spider-Man movies. You're saying, yeah, I'm against that, but behind closed doors, you're the freaking goblin.
I think he was against that the way that it wasn't governed yet. Like it was just you can do whatever you want with it, and it can become dangerous that way. He was saying because you gotta put a little bit of rules in it. You know, you gotta have rules, and
Need to put a cap.
yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah, but if we don't,
he becomes the new cap.
yeah, but if we don't do it first, somebody else will, and that other person could be some people dangerous, you know?
Or
Other
is this
countries.
what they're pitching? And
That's what they're pitching.
Control, and he takes
Yep.
control because we all trust Trump, and because we trust Trump, we're gonna trust Elon, right? Because Elon wouldn't hurt us, right? I mean, right? As you were just saying with the SRA survivor, I'm wary. I'm very wary. Now, last time I played this with a particular individual, they could not hear it on their end. So give me a thumbs up or down. If you give it down, I will know that you
I
can
could hear it.
Okay.
Yep, I heard it already.
Now, this is her. This again, she's allegedly his nanny when he was growing up, Elon. And she gives her little spit here. I don't buy the Antichrist thing, and I'm going to explain based off of what she says here why I think that.
Well, I spoke and sports work for a family. And he's a boy, the boy's mother, and the boy's grandfather. They were coming from Africa. They were white as me. I thought they'd be black. And as of something the boy did, I never told anything. Working something very dark. Very native. And then one day I asked, no one in the circle, Imelda, what is mother? I asked Imelda, in Mr. Piani's, which means the one going, but no, but he will present the mark. Going to see him do that very fast. Now here we are, 40 years later. Oh, that boy is the star of the world. His name then was El Arion. Changed to the time 40 years later. And way everywhere in the world adores him, but he's the king of Babylon.
Now, granted, some people are saying she's a hoax. Some saying she's a quack. She's living off grid. I don't blame her because the stuff she knows. And allegedly, the bad thing she's talking about is he opened a portal in his bedroom one time when he was like 9 to 11 years old. How the frick he did that? Again, probably the SRA survivor might be able to fill in some blanks there.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's changed because then for what, 3 to 4 years, he wears, this is his profile picture wearing the Baphomet suit.
Is that what that is? I don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's called the Devil's Champion.
Huh.
It has the cross upside down in the
Oh, yeah. Or a sword. Or a sword.
Yes. Again, the cross of Tammuz. I'm not for the idea of the cross representing Christianity, because when you look into if you fold it up, it's a Kaaba cube, and it represents the element.
Yeah, that's right. You showed me that. That's right. Yep.
You remembered. Well
I
done.
do. Yep.
Touch. Actually, somebody remembered my work. No, I really do appreciate that. Sometimes I feel like I'm talking to the wind with some hosts. I'm like, I didn't even hear anything I said. It's so good. Be that as it may, but he's wearing this outfit and he's staring in a mirror. And then Donald Trump Jr. posted this photo AI
Mm.
of Trump looking at himself in the mirror, and he says, "The goat,
Oh, what's the goat mean again? Great.
greatest of all time."
Oh, yeah, that's right.
But what do we hear in Matthew? Christ comes to separate the sheep from the goats.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I found this interesting. As I said, this is the Devil's Champion, is what it's called, the leather armor. Notice the symbol on Baphomet around Albert Pike's neck here. I zoomed in. It represents Baphomet in the southern district of Charleston, South Carolina. Upper center, which is supposed to be over here, I edited it out. The same symbol used by the Satanist and 33-degree Freemason Aleister Crowley when he signed his name Baphomet X.
Interesting.
Now, no, as I've tried to explain to people, like Statue of Liberty, like Baphomet, it is, yes, it represents Lucifer in the sense that it is his tenets and core ideologies. It is like the encompassing of his philosophy. Just like Christ was God's word manifest for us, word became flesh. That would be what Baphomet or Statue of Liberty would represent. It's the philosophy of Earth, mankind. So to wear an outfit nicknamed the Devil's Champion, and also to have confirmation by this nanny that he's not the Antichrist, but he will present the mark. What is that doing? I'm doing on behalf of my overlord what is expected of me, right? I'm an enforcer, or I'm his gladiator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Champion, right? That's where I'm seeing a little bit of I think she's not too crazy. I think she's got some merit. Now, this young little lady looks beautiful, but very scary. We want to completely change the interaction with the digital world. This is from Blazing Press. Is non-invasive BCI nanoparticle implant through the nose, just like a certain thing we were throwing up there during or blood, for use by 2026 or 27. Do you know what year we are in right now?
2025.
Year of the Snake.
Oh, you're the snake.
2027 is the year of the goat. Now, where's the goat? He wants a robot army by 400,000 or something by 2027. They're talking about this. The video interview was just released on 4/11 of 2025. This is a breaking news regarding the push for the first truly implantable BCI, which is a brain control interface that humans will accept and take to become seamlessly connected to AI from inside the body.
Ooh.
Video, blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. But more importantly, it is to admit that this video is being pushed the singularity as the main goal, right? They're trying to make it sound good. But what does he say? And again, as I pitched before, angels, when we're talking about demons, angels, when they were thrown out of heaven, they didn't become demons. That's where a little bit of brokenness with theology. It's a slain Nephilim.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to have a body back, you need human possession, AI inside the body.
Wow.
And again, internet given to us by CERN, whose logo is 666, right? And they gave us the internet, inter, place for two more corpse, net to hold or restrain, cell phone, prison phone. He said there'll be no more phones in the future. Elon. Neuralink will fix that. Are you familiar with the Nubbit thing being pushed right now? It's going viral with the Netflix series Black Mirror.
No.
People putting a little device right here, and then their eyes go white in the back of their eye sockets. That just goes, and then if it have brain fog, they can't remember things. They become very zombie-like states. And as I've been pitching, I highly suspect you accept the mark of Cain, mark of the beast. You are, in essence, going to become an international possession grid for demonic beings to possess you.
God, that's awful.
Well, think about it. Like, again, this would explain why you can't off yourself like it says in Revelation, because it's an orgy fest. They are They're running right through you. Cryptid, right? Bigfoot, Wolfman. A lot of these things are coming out a little bit more. Again, I could laugh at some of them, but some of them I'm over here going, yeah, that's sounding like they just got rid of a whole bunch of park rangers. They're gonna cut down a lot more forests now. Think
Wow.
of national parks as reservations for cryptids. Crypto Osiris. Is that what that's supposed to represent? And again, what? A beast system? Beasts coming back to play one last time? Now, Christians, I don't think we'd be around for this part, right? I think they'd execute us off, and then it'd be like, okay, everybody ready? Sure. And then, boom, they all come out to play. And I wouldn't want to be around for that.
No.
But you're not, again, people are not listening, but they're
Ooh.
giving birth to something.
Wow, that's weird.
Operation Warseed. We had a 2020 Operation Warp Seed. Warseed? Yeah, sure.
That's a womb. A woman's a womb, and it looks like the goat and Tesla. That's crazy.
Yeah. It gets better. Every time Trump tweets America first,
Uh-huh.
just remember where we got that slogan from.
Oh, brothers.
And yes, his dad was friendly with the organization. Look at the Christian cross right there.
Mm-hmm.
As much as they keep saying, stop affiliating us with that, you look at a lot of parades, they have the Southern Cross and Stars and Stripes, or whatever it is, Bar and Stripes, whatever. And they also have a lot of Nazi memorabilia on parade. Now, again, I don't want to just be like, oh, God, you're really pulling at strings with all of this. Sure, okay. Again, like I said, you're going to learn a lot about hats. A capirote, a conical pointed hat, originates from the Spanish Holy Inquisition. Spanish Inquisition was not a good time, as I recollect, where it was used as a mark of humiliation and punishment for those sentenced by the court. Now, religious context, the capirote is associated with the Catholic brotherhoods and penitents, particularly during the Holy Week, possessions in Spain and Hispanic countries. In biblical basis, the wearing of the hood is based in Matthew 6, 16 through 18, which advocates anonymity during fasting. The modern usage of the capirote is now seen as the voluntarily guise for penitents and to participate in possessions as part of their penance for sins. Now, I found it interesting. The capirote is a Christian pointed hat that they say is connected to the Catholic Church. The misrepresentation is the capirote's similarity to the hoods worn by the Ku Klux Klan, and has led to misunderstandings, particularly in the context of use of religious processions. Now, take a look at that. You notice the cross emblem there, or the Knights Templar. That could be another several variations. The skull and bones. I would almost venture to say that maybe many pirates might have been Masons. Just a hunch, but symbolism wise, can you tell the difference?
Weird.
It's just a difference, literally, of degree, but it's the same thing. And when I did my thing on Rome's responsibility for the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, the Ku Klux Klan came after the Knights of the Golden Circle, who had a hand in offing Lincoln, and that was a Jesuit Masonic alliance used to kill Abraham Lincoln. And now you're telling me, again, Jesuit, Catholic, now you're telling me this just doesn't connect.
The one over here with all the people, is that Jesuit or is that Catholic or what is that?
That's Catholic.
Catholic, okay. Why do they have that stuff on their face?
It makes you scratch your head, because it's like, well,
Never seen that.
it's just a Western reboot, a little bit shorter, but it's the same thing. Across there, well, there's a cross there, just tipped at a different. You follow what I'm saying? There's a certain point where I'm like, I'm not buying it. In penance, we lost the war, but we will avenge it again. So we're going to ride around in penance, but we're going to inflict torture, like the Spanish Inquisition, upon those that were released from our bondage. You see where I'm saying where the connotation could be made, and they're saying that's a misrepresentation. You're going the wrong way with that, or am I lifting up something that you swept under the rug and you don't want people to skim it?
Bills have an X on there.
Right. Thank you. And it's around either the throat chakra and or their hearts, and this is over his chest. So
Mm-hmm.
now look over here while I read this. But you see the similarities, which is which? They have to literally put it on here. Holy Week in Cartagena, not KK. Oh my God! Right? You get freaked out.
Yeah.
The capirote is the religious garb used in Spain, and it was used as the official uniforms of the brotherhoods, similar to Masons, similar to the Ku Klux Klan, such as the Nazarenos and the Ferecios. They are worn during Holy Week, which is the last week of Lent, so directly before Easter. So again, the crosses make sense. They are worn in public as a sign of penance. Historically, flagellants are origins of this tradition, Kabbalah. Flagellants flogged themselves in penance for their sins. Then Pope Clement VI ordered the flagellants could only perform penance under church supervision. Capirotes themselves only came into the use during the Inquisition in Spain. Those who were arrested by the Inquisition had to wear these paper capirotes as a sign of public humiliation. Depending on what their sentence was, the color of the capirote was different. For example, red capirotes were used for those who had been sentenced to death.
Oh. Wow.
Lovely. Okay. So, after the Inquisition was abolished, which went on for 400-something years, capirotes remained a sign of punishment and penance and are used as various brotherhoods. They are now a choice of wear for those who have sinned so that they may perform penance. Blah, 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 blah. I think that's more than enough. But yeah, gives you a little bit of a... I'm not buying the official narrative, but it does look a little bit like the Tesla logo, right? Does look very similar. Birds of a feather. You're going to tell me that's not a bird, even though it looks very similar to this bird. It's a bird. And it looks very similar to this bird. It's just a different continent. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So there's something I was thinking. Is the mark of Cain actually the lightning bolt? Because again, Zeus with the lightning bolt, and again, it's a fist of power, rebellion.
Uh-huh.
We live in a world, in this new world order, just as people under Augustus Caesar did, not a future thing to be feared or avoided. The new world order is a present reality to be identified, understood, and dealt in a way that is most pleasing to God. It was God, after all, who established the new world order. We can read about it in the Bible. In fact, the Bible is only a record we have that publicly and truthfully sets forth the essentials of the order's origins and development through time. The Bible records a great decisive events and the progress of human life up to the close of the first century. Creation of earth and the fullness thereof. Creation of man and woman. Their turning away from God. The first conception. The first birth. The first sacrifice. The first murder. The first insignia and the first city. The first and only great flood, surviving family, and peculiarly relationship through God, through time with God. All this momentous data is given in the Bible with a stark truthfulness that is invariably supported. Now, this is what a vicar, you know what the word vicar translates to in Latin?
No.
Substitute. So you're substituting Christ while he's gone? You're substituting God's word? John 1:14. And again, you read 1 John, not 1 John, as John 1 and Genesis 1, it mirrors each other. How the world was created by the word of God. Who is Christ? He is God's word put in a human capsule. So now you're telling me the Pope is substituting God's word while he's gone. Yeesh. Because he's put Pope John the 23rd, and this is a prayer he wrote in 1960. The mark of Cain is stamped upon our foreheads. Across the centuries, our brother Abel has lain in blood, which we drew, and shed tears we caused by forgetting thy love. Now, part of the thing that I'm trying to illustrate for folks, I highly suspect. Actually, I did show you this one. I'm just highly suspecting that it does connect with the mark of the beast. Now, whether that's going to be the 8-pointed thing that's in the Vatican Square in the very center of the monolith that he has in front of the Vatican. It's 8-pointed star of chaos, whether it's a star, whether it's kind of like not sure if you have a Cash App card. Kind of looks like this, but you can put dollar signs, you could put waves, you could put sports. You like cats? You could put cats on it. Now, who's to say that if you get personalized, my digital ID of recognition, I could put a cross on there. I could put this, right? It's like a tattoo. And with invisible ink / AI, you really, again, like a barcode on your phone, just scan the menu. What if they do that with you? And all your data, like a menu, it's all right there. Well, don't worry, that's locked. Do you have the code for that? Beep, 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 beep. Oh, cool. All right, Mark of the Beast, dude. And I can see it. I could easily see it where it's customizable, and everybody's thinking it has to be one specific thing, but it's customizable to whatever you want. It was your choice. As long as you accept the contract, I don't care what it looks like.
You're right. No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I already covered that with you before, so we can skip and go ahead. So, Sargon, a guy in history, he could be an equivalent of Cain. It's a little bit up in the air. He also could be Marduk, where we get the lore for that. I found something interesting. It says we have found, in short, abundant remains of a bronze culture, but no traces preceding the ages of development, such as we meet on the early Egyptian sites. The suddenness factor severely challenged those scholars who viewed the history of Darwinian anti-biblicalism, which had become the fashion of Jesuit-influenced academic circles, to fit evolutionary theory. Eunuch should have evidence development from a time older than civilization. A contributor to the London Times prestigious historian's History of the World grumbled, surely such a people as this could not have sprung into existence from the Bronze Age as a deus ex machina, or a person or thing introduced as appearing unexpectedly, so as to those to provide an artificial or contrived solution to an otherwise insoluble problem. It must have had its history, a history which presupposes the development of several centuries or more. Now, he's basically saying they have this technology. They're at a certain point where they can't just pop from nowhere, right? They have to have an origins for how they know how to do certain things. And the phrase that he used, artificial, but also deus ex machina, there's a movie on that. But a deus ex machina from The Guardian, former Google engineer, is developing artificial god, an AI god.
Interesting.
Again, this is back in like 1890s when they're going up against Darwin. And we're still... So what's the connection here? When you look up, are you familiar with the book Brave New World by Aldous Huxley?
No.
Are you familiar at least with the title?
No.
Okay. You don't need to read it. It was he's a Masonic author. I laugh.
Oh.
Yeah. You have seen him do the covering of the hand.
Yes, you showed me that one. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's done it, and his brother, Julian Huxley, he is known as the father of transhumanism.
Oh.
He was one of the guys that founded Planned Parenthood. Aha! So it makes me that okay. And their grandfather was nicknamed, his name was Thomas Huxley. He was nicknamed Darwin's Bulldog because he would go after anybody during a lecture that disagreed with him. They'd be like, the Bible says this. And he would go, That's why he was given the nickname, because he would be the #1 advocate. How dare you insult my dear Darwin? So, all that to say is, what was he pitching?
Mm-hmm.
Darwinianism gives us the concept is that if there's no God, we evolve from the dust, and we're sea urchins from a meteorite, and so on and so forth, and fill in all the blanks. So you got like what lizard thing, you got like the dodo bird, and then we evolve into Neanderthal man, so on and so forth, monkey and man, whatever, right? That lays the foundation of what if we could evolve and go back to whence we came? Because in essence, what Big Bang or, Darwinianism, they're always trying to fill in the blanks of this ever-expanding timeline that they have. You're telling me that some space tumbleweed forms a meteorite, in essence, crashes into the sun gets angry, throws it at the earth, in essence. I'm embellishing the story. Comes plummeting towards the earth, creates life as we know it. So what, again, that's why I've asked my buddy, I said, where did the meteorite come from? Well, space dust. So isn't that equivalent of starseed? There's a little bit of meteorite in all of those things in 2020, changing your DNA. Again, the Economist magazine adding a triple helix if we took it. Not me, that's them, just asking a question here. And if there was a little bit of that in every single one of the beautiful things that Fauci and company were providing for us. See, I'm getting very good at not saying the word.
I know you are, and everyone should understand.
If you don't, you're very special.
Yeah.
You
Yes.
probably had 3 of them. You're just staring at the screen. Glowfish. Anyway, sorry. So with all of that, what's the next thing you're going to pitch? What if we could go back to the stars? Or what if we're missing something in our evolution of how we could find that little inner light of God within ourselves? Angels were known as star walkers, stars in heaven. They're cast down in Revelation. So the Masonic find on Instagram, they have the caption here, "Are you ready for the future, brother?" With a metallic man, Masonic skull and compass on his chest, and a Masonic apron around his waist. Metallic man. And what did he say before, Elon? Yeah, we could potentially download our memories and prolong them forever in like a machine. And yeah, it's just it's you. In a machine? You don't like it? No, I don't like that, Elon. The aspect of being a Christian, I want to go to my Heavenly Father. I want to go back to my Creator. The other one is saying, we already have the secrets to prolong life. Do we really need that guy? Right? That's alchemy. We don't need him if we've already got all of the ingredients, in essence, is what you're telling me. That is as above, so below. We got God's word, so now we can manipulate it to have our own outcomes, right? Which we know God ultimately has the last, say, but and again, that pose, as above, so below, when you're doing the ritual sound off of the pentagram, it is representative Earth. You have the Christ that they depict for us, white tunic,
Yeah,
flash.
it's strange.
No graven images. There's a reason why they show us what they do.
Mm.
And again, the halo coming from forests of Egypt, nothing to do with Christ, right?
Yeah.
The name of the idol which the Templars were accused of worshiping, Muhammad, see Muhammad, the name of which took strange shapes in the Middle Ages, aka related to Baphomet.
Interesting.
Oh. And again, online etymology dictionary. This is not me going, I'm just showing you.
Right.
Let's see. There's a particular thing I wanted to read here, and I'm not sure. Can I skip this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You can skip that. Oh, yeah, the sign of a new. Sorry, 8-pointed star. That's what it was here.
Oh, okay.
And I think I have it. Yeah, that's the page I want. Okay. So when I was saying that before, as above, so below, full phrase is as within, find God within, Christ consciousness. So without, as the universe, so the soul. This is not affiliated with Baphomet. It's actually affiliated with Hermes Trismegistus. But they are one in the same. This is Caduceus staff. That is the Caduceus staff.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. You got a golden light. Paul. But conjoined, again, triangle upward, fire. Triangle upward with a slash through it, air. Which could look a little bit like a pyramid, right?
Yep.
What do we have on our dollar bill?
The pyramid.
Pyramid with
Mhm.
the eye, a little bit of a dash, or a space between them. And what's
Yep.
Satan known? He's known as the prince of the power of the air.
Air. I didn't know that. Okay.
Just again, could be wrong. I'm asking you what the occult says, going, yeah. You know, water is downward triangle, and water with a smudge through it is earth. So conjoined, that is as above, so below. And this is the star of Remphan, condemned in Amos 5:26 and Acts 7:43. Jeremiah 10:1-5, when condemning Christmas trees, but 10:2 specifically, be not like the pagans and or heathens, varying on translation, who look to the stars, angels, and are in awe and wonder of them.
That's Star of David, or is that different?
They say it's the Star of David. It has nothing to do
Okay.
with David. It's the Star of Remphan. But again,
Mm.
conjoined, what I say, it's male, female. Can put these two together. Water and earth. Fire and, again, soul.
See? Mm-hmm.
Submerge the two. Again, this is their symbolism. All I'm
Right.
doing, you merge those two together. Trump says he's MAGA. And then Elon, when he gets on stage, oh, I'm dark MAGA. Oh. So red magician and dark magician is what you're telling me? And you look up his dark MAGA assemble video, shows 5 Atlantean texts, but it also shows a very authoritarian zombie-like state taking place in the world. And it kind of makes you go, I don't know if that's something good that I want to see. I want to see happy things like butterflies and apple pie. I don't want to see people walking around like zombies with glazed eyeballs staring at me like they're coming from a demonic realm. But this is what he puts in the video. You know, this is, again, you see what I'm saying? It's just, why did you feel the urge to release this to me, Mr. Elon? And why? So something I found interesting, again, the black obelisk of Kala, which stands in Babylonian Assyrian wing of the British Museum, records the great accomplishments of the 9th century god king Shalmaneser II, possibly could be an equivalent of Sargon. In a scene depicting various monarchs paying obeisance to Babylon. Excuse me. Now, Shalmaneser, in turn, was sacrificed to this 8-pointed star of chaos, which is in front of Mount Hermon, as I've shown you before. In the bird's wings of the tail feathers, inscriptions identify this kneeling monarch as King Jehu of Israel. Remarkably, according to the New Catholic Encyclopedia, Jehu's likeness here is only known to contemporarily render the portrait of a biblical personage. More remarkably, Jehu is wearing a Phrygian red cap, like Brumides, a guy who painted all the stuff in the Capitol. That's his name, Brumidi. Young America, Jehu's liberty is subject to the mood of his God King. Oh, so you're a God King? I'm not sure if you saw in Italy about 2 to 3 years ago, they had the God Emperor Trump animatronic thing walking around.
No.
Yeah, I can show that. I think, actually, I could run that. I could run that one with you at some point. It's very short. I
Okay.
just did it recently. But explaining the pyramid thing that they just discovered over there.
You're kidding.
Yeah, it's gonna make you scratch your head going,
Wow.
why? Okay, I'm scared. That's good. Basically, it does make you go, okay, why are we seeing this now? So a rainbow sweeps across the lower quadrant of the dome of the sky, and Benjamin Franklin to a young boy wearing a Smurf cap and a toga.
That's
The boy
weird.
pretends the god is blah, blah, blah. Again, it's talking about some of the artwork that we have over here. But when I kept reading, Young America's Smurf cap is a style of headgear known as the Phrygian cap. Phrygia was a district in the kingdom of Pergamum. If you ever heard of Pergamum Press, that was owned by Ghislaine Maxwell's dad.
No.
And allegedly when with Jeremiah, remember when the city was getting sacked? There was a remnant group that went to Pergamum to continue their occultic Kabbalah practices. So they went into exile, and then when it came to be rebuilt again, both the Babylonian Talmud and the Pergamum guys came back together, and this was the foundation of the Pharisaic occult.
Wow.
the stuff that Christ was condemning, the Talmud
Mhm.
that Christ was condemning. And this is, again, against ideologies, not identities, which is what people don't seem to realize. So we remember Pergamum in the middle point of the transfer of the Babylonian religion westward towards Rome. It had a migration. Phrygia was a Greek word meaning freeman. For an English word free comes from the middle syllable of fre, right? Phrygian cap, freeman. Phrygian caps, freeman caps. Remember, after the slaves, a lot of them, what was the name they chose after they were free? Because they were able to pick their own last name. Well, what are you? I'm technically a free man. There's your last name. Have a nice day. Next. Right? This is, again, a little something there. Phrygian caps were given a freed Roman slaves to indicate their liberated status. Roman law regards liberty, libertas, as a conditional status. Once granted by a patron, it could be revoked at any time for cause. Phrygian cap freedman then means liberty. Freed Roman slaves, by the way, were called liberti, to please Caesar. So basically, again, red cap people, you're free right now, as long as you do as I say. And because you're wearing my little magic red cap, you smurf, I can take it away at any time I want. And there's a reason they constantly bombard us with this concept, but, Statue of Liberty, based off of a concept, a false concept of a pagan goddess, right?
Interesting.
And doing a pose, which is representing of earth, loving things of this earth, the light of the earth. Anyways, you want to say?
I was going to say that I heard somebody talking that Smurfs are like, I don't know, some evil. I don't know if that's any connection with the Smurf hat, Smurf symbology. I'm not sure.
I mean, it wouldn't be that hard of a search for me, but I would almost imagine that they would connect it to like fairies and or blue monsters.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the Scots. I love ancestry up there. Couldn't conquer us, hoorah. But why would they paint their bodies all blue?
I don't know.
I'm blue. Okay, so there had to have been a reason of the inspiration, right? If you're gonna paint yourself all blue, was this connecting something with the Nephilim again?
Hmm.
Maybe you're again, just so sometimes you're incorporating a lot of the Native Americans, you're incorporating a spirit when you go into battle. With the Vikings, you put on the animal thing and you would inherit
Sure.
that animal's abilities before going into battle. Is there some sort of connotation? Yeah, Nephilim look like clowns. If you want to go with that route,
Right.
your body blue, is there some sort of connotation in that field?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised, but then Smurf stemming off of this in a cute way, just like with Disney. You look up real stories, you're like, these are really crappy and scary. And then you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I love that story. Yeah.
True. Yeah, and in Japan, all the onis, the devils, are either blue or red. Like big giant ogres are blue and red. So weird. One horn or two horns sometimes,
Really?
strange.
Variants.
Mm-hmm.
See,
Yep.
and then again, these are the guys, or variants thereof, they're going to come back out. I truly believe that.
Gross.
Because
Scary.
as it's 3 or chapter 4, it talks about the giants returning, and then Isaiah saying a plea like, "Oh God, let the giants don't come back" or whatever.
Really? I missed that. I didn't see that.
Or there's satyrs mentioned in the Bible. That's where we get satire from, but it's also connecting with Pan, the goat god, which again, my Christmas episode goes into more detail. But it just makes you start scratching your head, going, "This stuff's in the Bible." And we're just over here going, blah, 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 like, because we don't really understand.
Well, yeah.
It's like, Jesus, nice guy. I go to Rapture. Yay! Like, there's some spiritual warfare going on here.
Yes, for sure.
And we throw out, like, Enoch, again, at least for a historical foundation, only book that explains how the angels get under the river Euphrates. I've asked pastors this before, and they go, well, yeah, probably, just demons that, it doesn't matter. That's, God's divine stuff.
They
It's
don't
like,
know. They don't even know God's name, Jehovah or Yahweh, however you want to pronounce it. If you ask them, they don't know.
Well, even even the concept, like I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, Yahweh connects with the Masons and blah blah blah." What
They use it, but that doesn't mean
Yes.
it's connected. They know that that is a divine name. They know that.
And
We
Brian,
know.
thank you. I'm trying. I think of it personally as a usurper stealing of the name, because
Absolutely.
it does make
Almighty.
sense, the mythos of when God first breathed into Adam. So every time you take a breath, you are
Yeah.
saying your Creator's name. And what does it say in heaven? Every knee shall bow and every tongue shall
Yep.
confess. You literally just have to breathe, and you just said
Mm.
God's name, whether you realize it or not. You just that I gave you the breath of life. I gave all mankind the breath of life. You're on my dime, but you're choosing to rebel against me. So yes, the inversion is we all can become our own Yahweh, our own God, right?
Right.
I will control the breath of my life. I will be the master of my fate, right? As I think Nelson Mandela once put the phrase.
Mm.
This is what they're doing, right? So that's my take. Again,
Yep.
you don't have to agree with me, because then there's a whole, again, this is another one of those things where you see a whole bunch of arguments online in the comment sections, and I'm just like, I don't have time today. But yeah, the liberty cap. So we might ask, did the model of liberty, freedom, and equality die out with the cult of Mithras, or did the red cap of liberty fall to the ground forever to rise from the dark ages? Much later, some would say by magic, and some would say by coincidence. Some would say by the spirit never dies. The Phrygian cap came to the figure heavily in the French Revolution, the iconography probably influenced by the Roman goddess Libertas. In order to be free, you had to sacrifice some blood sacraments to her, which again, when we're reading in the Bible, and upon her forehead, Mystery Babylon the Great, was the name written, Mystery Babylon the Great. Revelation 17, verse 5. Make America Great Again. I don't know the name, but I know there's a woman that represents liberty, their version of equality. And I'm marveling at it because I don't understand how, like a lot of Christians I'm seeing in comment sections, Brandon, I don't understand. I'm trying to explain to my mom what's going on, and they just don't want to understand. They just don't want to listen to me. They just blah, blah, blah. And I get it, because they're under a great deception. They're under a great spell, because they don't see it. If again, Maryland was consecrated for the Virgin Mary. Our capital in 1669 was known as Rome. It is surrounded by 7 hills. Right? There's a certain thing where I start going, guys, you don't think we have any play? The greatest military in the world has nothing to do in the last days? I think we do. And again, like I was saying, when you try to warn MAGA that Trump is backed by a technocratic billionaires building a digital surveillance panopticon, not to keep bad guys out, but to trap you in
Oh, wow.
a biometric control grid, again, like you said, real ID, and all you get back is the blank fluoride stare. They don't get it. And again, I keep telling, I'm putting it in comment sections. Look into this. Oh, I trust them. Did you Google what I said? I'm giving you a hint so that you yourself can go, doo, 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 doo. Right? But people don't want to do that because they want to listen to their political pundit soothsayers over doing their own research. Conspiracy theorists are actually going full, undercover behind enemy lines, and then we're going, guess what I brought back? Oh, yeah, guess what else I saw during the hunt? This is in essence what we're doing, right? We're bringing some meals forward for people to consider, and they don't want to consider it. Now, again, this is not just wiki I'm citing here, but I found it interesting. As I said, Helios is known from God from east to west. He would ride his chariot around the earth, and this is how the sun would be produced. It'd be basically being dragged along like a ball and chain from Helios, aka Helios would bring the light. You look up a bunch of articles, there's a lot of stuff affiliating Trump. East meets west, east meets west, as I said. Maryland to the Vatican, east to west, right? You need church and state, a mirror, right? So Donald Trump's name means world ruler, Donald. Trump to deceive, one up, or outdo someone else. That in and of itself should be a little bit of a, wow, maybe, but no. I'm sure Obama's got something. I looked up Obama. It's basically
Yeah.
light bend over.
What is his mean?
I have to look it up again, but roughly Barack Obama, I think, is like lightning bend over.
Oh,
Which I'm laughing given the story.
I know.
Yeah, that just made me go,
Yeah.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It just makes you scratch your head. Oh,
Yeah.
compliments to Michelle. Anyway, Donald stems from Adonis. Adonis, equivalent is Dumazid, a Sumerian goat shepherd god. Dumazid's equivalent is Tammuz, again, Ezekiel 8. And then Tammuz in Greek was known as Hermes. Hermes in Rome was known as Mercury. Mercury traces directly back to Marduk and Baal. Baal means lord, husband, or master, owner. Dawn means husband, master, owner. His symbols are the all-seeing eye, the Caduceus staff, the infinity logo, the 8. It's a mirrored 33, this symbol right here. That's a mirrored 33 tipped on its side. Represents man and woman coming together. And the cross, the symbol that Christ died upon. And he brings before the throne of God in Hebrews 12:2. He conquers that symbol because the cross is the Kaaba cube, which represents earth. Okay? So when you're loving things of this earth, well, patriotism, I got to keep voting. No, that's things of earth. Focus. Keep your mind on things above. Set your treasures on things above. Be not conformed to things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Do you see white tunic, red sash, Christ they are painting for us? Do you see the pose of their false antichrist, the magician? Maga in Latin, magic, magical, witch. Maga in Italian, sorceress or witch. Maga in Spanish, magician, wizard, or illusionist. Great deception, great illusion. Maga in Sanskrit, magician or priest of the sun. Sun god with the red hat. You see where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Coincidences, again, when we looked on the Economist magazine, Trump is sitting right over the magician.
Yeah.
Not me, them. Standing right next to what? The Tower of Babel. Not me, them. Because I have a mentor, he's saying, yeah, Antichrist, he has to come from Assyria. No, it doesn't say anything about
No,
the
of course not.
Like, you look into it, it's like, no, it doesn't. Look at the, well, Micah does not talk about him coming from Assyria. Here's something that I found interesting. Because, again, it's all culminating now. Why? Donald Trump is related to most Icelanders in Danish and Norwegian royalty. Significance. Claims of the descendants from Dan, the tribe of Dan.
Oh, really?
Who used an eagle
Huh.
on their flags as opposed to using the menorah like they were supposed to. They used an eagle. What are we known for in America? Okay. So, 15th century Latin chronicle, the Chronicon of Paul Seschieta Vitas, whatever, states the Danes were from the tribe of Dan. That's 1698. And the antiquarian Henry Spellman of 1620 made similar claim that the Danes were the Israelite tribe of Dan. Tribe of Dan with Denmark. Colonized Denmark with Ulster and Ireland. He's half German, half... He also wants Greenland. You follow where I'm going with some of this? It's like, okay, is there an ulterior motive? And now we have ChatGPT's Dan.
Really? Oh my God.
Dan do anything. This is his face.
Ew.
Does he look like a guy that's on our side?
No, for sure not.
Again, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, right? And if you're seeking God and you're seeing evil and what man is doing, be wary. Be wary. And if you don't love the kingdoms of earth, you're not going to be upset when somebody's saying, because what are they pushing? Your DNA will be your data. Barcode in your finger, right? Your mark, my DNA, is consenting to the beast system. crypto, becoming part of the beast, which again, all these other economic things with no Trump on it, but they're all showing the same message of transhumanism. A Mason aspiration. Again, this is part 2 of the same thing I took before. Police are using artificial intelligence traffic cameras to track drivers using cell phones.
Wow.
So if
We
you
have to use it sometimes for maps. I'm just saying.
I know.
Not that they care, but
I do too. Probably gonna lead me to a bridge and I fall off into the water at some point. But anyways,
true.
I've seen these movies, man. I know what goes on. But again, it's for what I'm trying to emphasize. It's just like, well, technically, Brandon, they're already tracking us with the phones and the credit cards and stuff like that, right? Which is true. But when push comes to shove, right? What did Christ say? Render unto Caesar things are Caesar, and unto God the things that are God.
Yeah.
Push comes to shove, are you willing to be a Daniel and say, I understand the legislation that was passed, but I'm going to keep praying to my God 3 times a day. You guys got a problem with it? Fine. Lion's den it is. When push comes to shove, are you going to submit to God like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego when they didn't bow to the idol? Or are you going to be willing to be tossed into a furnace? Same thing with the apostles. Are you willing to die for the cause of Christ? And I kid you not, I saw a lady's Facebook comment the other day. I love Jesus, but I'm not willing to lose my head for him. Well, you don't love Christ then. I hate to break it.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to the end times, is he gonna remember you?
Thank you. But I'm like, so imagine getting up there and being like, hi.
Remember me? And he's gonna be like, I don't know you.
Thank you. And I'm like, yeah.
You forgot me. You wouldn't die for me, so why should I die for you?
Right. Well, but it's like, I only did it for those who are submitting to me and love me. It's a mutual relationship. If you were willing, sometimes you might get lucky. But do you notice something? What's the top of the pyramid?
The eye, the all-seeing eye.
Mm-hmm. Anything on the screen that looks kind of maybe foreboding?
Yeah, the iris scanner.
Yeah. When you spell it backwards, it's Siri.
Oh my God.
Hey Siri, what's going on? Hello. Who am I talking to? I've never liked the Alexa series and all this stuff. I was like, I'll type it in, but I don't want to talk to whatever. I feel weird.
Yeah.
I got some boundaries here. I might use it to create some cover art, but I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna go. No. But digital ID will lead to surveillance-based technocracy, critics warn, according to Michael Nevradikis, PhD. Again, don't have to believe me. This isn't 2025. They're saying technocracy, which, again, we see who's in charge. The all-seeing eye, or the globe, with an eye on it.
Huh.
An eye, a serpent's eye, behind the Pope, and he's mirroring the Pope.
Wow, that's weird.
Kind of looks like a Baphomet when you look at.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, mano, one eye.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's weird.
God a particle? Or is it? Is it? Again, pyramid, fire of the sun in your midst is roughly what a pyramid means. I can go more into detail when we do that episode.
Okay.
Sure.
It says you already know this. I'm just going to play this briefly. It's only like 30-something, 40-something seconds.
Okay.
Trump has been talking about this since his campaign trail in 2015. He was talking about the entry-exit visa tracking system.
Okay.
He's also been talking about some smart cities. This is the real ID that's going to be implemented on May 7th. At the moment, you can also use your passport, but I'm not sure if a passport will count for government buildings if you ever want to get into them. Now, what is a government building? Is that supposed to be including the DMV?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I think so. And then they start fine-tuning and go after AAA and all these other things. And it's like, so you're going to be forced into getting this?
Yeah, I already got mine. I mean, there's no choice.
Again, I don't know to what extent the mark is, but it's like,
I know.
I'm just going to be cautious. Let's just put it this way. I think it will be connecting us somehow with a digital.
I never even thought of it that way. Wow.
It's a funnel. It's a funnel. We need to be careful. Anyways, this is what he said on his campaign.
Okay.
talking about immigrants at the time.
Okay.
Stop.
This system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
Hi, I'm Christine Nome, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. If you plan on traveling, we need your help to prevent delays and to prove your identity. Get a real ID. Starting May 7th, you will need a real ID to travel by air or to visit federal buildings in the United States. These IDs keep our country safe because they help prevent fraud and they enhance security. Please do your part to protect our country. Go today and don't delay. To learn more, go to dhs.gov/real-ID. Thank you.
Wonder if there's any significance with that date. May 7, 2025. I wonder. Is there a 10 in there somewhere? Just saying. I don't know.
Well, 7. Most likely at the moment, I think it's in the, is it Taurus? Gemini doesn't start till I think May 20 something. So I
Right.
think it would be sign of the bull.
Mhm.
Sign of the bull. That does make sense because Gilgamesh or Mithra slaying the bull, Gilgamesh going to war against the bull of the heaven. Ooh. Yeah, actually.
Yeah,
And
I mean, everything is significant with dates, usually.
Yes. And
I
symbols.
just don't know what, but yeah, interesting.
But again, World Economic Forum talks about AI government alliance. So are we? Yeah. The biggest thing is like within 3 to 4 days in, he talks about AI special stuff. He does a whole conference with Larry Ellison on that. And then he does a chat at the World Economic Forum like a day later. I'm like, guys, I thought you said last time in 2020, oh, he's playing 5D chess going over there. He's not really aligned with them. He's just showing force. He's just doing a display of force. Why? No, he didn't. He got kicked out for 4 years, right? I'm not buying what they're telling me. Well, the thing that I started finding interesting, Jehu, the king in the Bible, worshipped the golden calf, a sacred Babylonian icon, again, the Apis bull, made fashionable in the 10th century BC Israel by Jehu's predecessor, Jeroboam. Jeroboam renounced the law of the Lord of the God of Israel and instituted democracy. Democracy opened the Israelite priesthood, originally appointed only by Yahweh, exclusively for the family of Levi, to all applicants. Consequently, Yahweh's priesthood was infiltrated by non-believers and foreign sympathizers. They prepared the way for Jehu to make himself a Shazarian freeman, obligated to concur with obedience of the understanding in all things which are superior. Shalmaneser II commanded exactly as the Black Obelisk explains in lucid visual terms, as a direct result of Jehu's departure from God of Israel, the Israelite nation began falling apart. It was ultimately destroyed by Caesarian, and legitimate heir of Shalmaneser's Babylon authority as it passed down through Pergamum. Running throughout the cosmic battle of the fates in a highly refined Kabbalah-involved concept of the golden calf. The word calf in Hebrew, the language of Jehu and Jeroboam, is such letter, this, and that letter, and this letter.
Oh,
Over, man.
wow.
Man becoming his own god. I think we're in Gen Alpha right now. Is the last one supposed to be Gen Omega? You shall become your own gods. Bookending what we have in Genesis. So, whereas Jehu, Shalmaneser II, the golden eagle or worship of the church militant, has trained American public to worship Rome's golden eagle, which surmounts every flagpole. Could it be that if we show respect, affection, or loyalty towards the national eagle, we create a presumption of the worshiping the golden calf? And so we alienate ourselves from God of the Bible and we find ourselves under the rule of the church militant? And what do we just see at the end of the Homeland Security was an eagle.
Interesting.
America was known as the land of the phoenix,
Mm-hmm.
or the feathered serpent, aka Tortoise Island.
Hmm.
Hermes was affiliated with the tortoise. Again, like the months, again, months affiliated with moons, monolith, mons pubis. All of this stuff correlates with moons, moon cycles. Mentioned at the same thing, 28 days.
Mhm, right.
The calendar was based off of Hermes' calendar, the 28, right? Somehow we changed that all of a sudden.
Right. Because it used to be 13.
Yeah.
And we changed it to 12. Yep.
Again, I just found it interesting because you put the human over the Hermetic Kabbalah tree. Like you put anything you want over it. It's all going to bounce out. How you get there, right? Choose your own way. Whereas, what does Christ say? I am the narrow way, only one way, straight to me. Them, well, you could go through this school, and then you could do a little yoga, and then you could do a little bit of Satanism, which, was it Aleister Crowley? He was very prominent in like 3 or 4 different spheres, Theosophy, this thing, that thing. Yeah. Which the Yahweh one, again, does make sense because in Hebrew it spells out YHVH. When you look at our
No vowels.
code. Yes. And it's like writing your name on the signature on when you do a painting. I just wrote it in the little corner just to let you know that's mine.
Mm-hmm.
When I was digging, I found out that the speed of light in something in the occult was 144,000. Which was making me think, isn't there a portion in the Bible that's set apart with 144,000?
There is.
Yes, because it connects
Mm-hmm.
with a certain remnant that's set aside for God. Now,
Right.
the thing, Trump did say he would help rebuild the third temple, to rebuild, renew, repair, to change. Now, Christ was specifically talking about his temple, his body, right? Not the physical building.
True. Mm-hmm.
Now, who's to say that the temple, which we think the Antichrist wants to dominate and declare himself as God, do you think it would be a physical temple, or do you think it's your body? Operation Warseed?
Interesting.
Follow me. Like the
Right.
Pied Piper, I'll lead you over. Again, the Pied Piper, leading the sheep astray. False shepherd, right? Good goat shepherd, sheep, right? See a connotation here? What if he dupes you because of your little red cap following the magician, right? There's nothing he can say that's wrong. There's, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it in real time. And he's appointing himself with this Caesar-like-esque concept. This is the White House. This is U.S. Homeland Security news. Again, ironically, it has a portrait of an eagle. It looks very similar to what the Nazis had as their eagle logo. Just saying. We can skip all that. Yeah, I already said this before. So yeah, now going back to Doge. Trump administration threatens to stop Social Security if Doge can't access American sensitive personal info. Wait, so I can't have my retirement money unless you can access my personal information? That's correct. Okay, hold up. I'm not free then, because that basically is saying because the government is giving you basically, I have a search warrant, because I have the ultimate authority, I can just go right in and I can circumnavigate what is supposed to be law, right? You can't do that. But if you're the Antichrist, which a lot of stuff with the deportation and whatnot, what is he doing? He is, I am the lawless one. I don't have to listen to you. I don't care how many Supreme Court, this person, that judge, and all this. I'll just ignore you. Why? Because I'm the world ruler, baby. That's literally my name. Oh. Interestingly enough, you see that eagle again on our Social Security betwixt the two pillars?
Yeah.
One eye representing Ra, the light, and the other one representing the dark, the white and black checkered floor, how you see the world.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how you get there. It's all about the journey, right? Do you ever notice what's the top of the two pillars? You have a globe on one, and then you have the stars on the other.
Wow.
Heliocentrism, Hermeticism. Here's the globe. The stars encompass that. everything between those two realms, as above, so below, spiritual, feminine, right? And once we master this, we go between these pillars, right? And we shall ascend to become like gods. And this is what 2 pillars of Freemasonry, twin towers. And you look for that inner light within yourself. God particle, the all-seeing eye, pentagram. You follow where I'm going.
Mm-hmm.
Pentagram, 5G, penta, 5 gram.
Oh, wow.
God ram, goat ram.
Oh, wow. That is crazy.
Right? And it's like, guys,
Yeah.
the all-seeing eye thing, the retina skin, like, they're telling you, we're here. We're here. Don't tell me that J.D. Vance is on our side. This is him wearing a commie thing. New World Order.
Is that what that is, or is that China? No, it's
It's the commie, the hammer and sickle. But he's on our side. And they're over here praying at the Wailing Wall, which, again, Russia supported. They were one of the first people to support Israel when they became a thing because they thought it would be a satellite state of a communist state of Russia. And it's just, no. So we're wrapping up here around this parts. Tesla is one of the top largest shareholders here. And we have the top, outside of Elon Musk, we have Vanguard and BlackRock. Now, didn't we do an episode?
We did.
BlackRock?
That was our first one. Yep.
Of course, obviously, I'm going to be updating it now due to
Really? Okay, yeah. Cool.
Well, due to this, because BlackRock buys the Panama Canal for $28.8 billion. Now, Trump was talking about getting it for ourselves, but now we're having BlackRock intervening to buy it.
Huh.
And they're one of the top shareholders of Elon Musk's company.
Huh.
Right. Again, who knows who? Follow the money.
Yeah.
The symbolism, and you'll start understanding the world a little bit better. Again, this is more evidence. I'm not making this up. This is legit stuff. It's theology, geopolitics. You can look it up. News and analysis. As we said before, they own.
That's so weird.
Pfizer,
They sure do.
they're
Wow.
owning CNN, Fox News. It's like, all right. So again,
Wow.
because I know they own
Even Facebook?
Walmart, Exxon. Exxon is supposed to represent, again, I mean, like, that's the Christian cross. No, that's the cross of Satan. Amazon, that's the devil's tail.
That's 2 X's. An Exxon, I'm just saying.
Yes.
1010.
Verizon, I did a breakdown of that etymology. It basically means data belt.
Huh.
They own they own Tesla pretty much. Chevron, Lowe's, your Visa for your credit cards, Uber.
Of course.
This is what I'm telling folks.
Yeah.
As a centrist, I hear what this side says. I hear what that side says, and I'm the centrist, and I'm filtering both sides. Because one side, they want you as the liberal. He's not a Nazi, but yet he's literally using symbols, and there's having the C-SPAN. They're also doing the hoo-ha when they're doing their freaking inauguration things. Like, come on, dude. Then Steve Bannon said he did the same thing at the CPAC. So what I do is, again, I don't even watch news, but when I see an article or something like that, I compare contrast, and then I go, biblically speaking, I heard this false prophet, I heard that false prophet. What does the Bible say? Endgame out of all of this. Because again, Scott Bessent, just throwing it up here because BlackRock CEO Larry Fink warns the U.S. dollar could lose global reserve status to Bitcoin. Like I said, he's going to buy out possibly Bitcoin with gold. Growing trust in digital assets and concerns over the U.S. debt could push nations towards Bitcoin as a safer alternative. Nations. He just talked about paying off the national debt first with China, with Bitcoin. That would bankrupt BRICS Alliance, right? I'm doing all these tariff wars for a good reason, and I'm going to bankrupt China. We'll rise from the ashes as the #1 sovereign state of Bitcoin, right? And Donald Trump is considering BlackRock CEO Larry Fink as the Treasury Secretary. Right now, it's Scott Bessent, a Soros protege.
Not good at all. Think. I'm just saying.
Nice.
He's a think.
It's there. Like it's so from bad for worse. Now you're telling me BlackRock's going to be in charge of our economy, and he's telling me that's going to be in charge of possibly the nations. So if we have a world war and or an economic collapse, call it whatever you will, a depression, a recession, and a world recession, let's call it that. And you're going to have the guy in charge of BlackRock connections here to be, no. I don't think so. Because when you realize America is actually a federal corporation, it's actually not even independent. It actually even has a business number, White House office. It's a corporate title. We are an agency. We, citizens, are employees for them, right? And taxes is just to keep us in line, because really we should be having, we actually were able to accumulate wealth. We wouldn't, we would do pretty freaking well, right? We wouldn't have to pay all this oppression stuff, of this tax, of this fee, and that thing. It's like, we're not fee if we have to pay. Sorry. But then, as I said before, when you read Rulers of Evil, we didn't gain our sovereignty. Again, half these wars are an illusion, the earlier wars, to get us to think we're actually fighting for something, when in reality it's to get us to buy the concept. It's like, well, people died at the Butler rally, Brandon. It wasn't a fake. People died during 9/11. It wasn't a fake. I'm not denouncing that people die. What I also am trying to reveal to you is in the art of war, you sacrifice a few people so the mass populace buys the narrative you're pitching at them, right? They're dead. You're just a person in the casket. Then you stand up and you do the classic Mark Antony speech when you watch Julius Caesar. Oh, here is Caesar, and Caesar was a good man. He was going to do this for you guys. He's going to do that for this. But Brutus or whoever, this guy says he needed to die, and he is a good man. And who am I to question him, right? This is what they're doing. They're weaponizing the event and getting you, the populace, to overreact, right? Because blood was shed, so obviously it has to be real. So Trump stunningly agrees that the U.S. will become an associate member of the Commonwealth. I love King Charles. So we're going back to kissing the ring of the king? As long as you're king of the world or whatever, it doesn't fit when you understand who's controlling the world without me having to say anything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Star Remphan, the little horn, right? And Trump's former family name means drum player or trumpet player. Right? No. So again, that's just compare, contrast Klaus Schwab and Elon Musk. They say almost paraphrase thing through thing. We're pro this, we're pro that. We're pro this, we're pro that. It's like you're literally a talking head for him. Trump orders the end of the U.S. government checks and digital disbursements overhaul. What does that mean? Well, he's basically pushing the idea of federal government towards only electronic payment methods. I'm going to pay federal employees by digital.
I see.
So again, I'm finding fraud in the government. The AOC. They did insider trading. Nope. Sherlock, we know that they've been doing. What is that pitching? We need to put a watchdog over our politicians. Okay, I'll consent to it as long as all Americans do it too. Oh, hold up. No. I like the idea my politician gets scrutinized, but you put you boomerang that upon the populace, that's a problem. That's Antichrist, right? We're going to monitor wherever all your money goes. So Trump was claiming, quote, that this whole thing with the depression, absolutely mind-boggling. But what he says versus what you see here, I'm going to explain it. But this is what he was talking about with the tariffs that he was doing.
29, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression.
So he says, if they kept going with it, we would have been saved. Where history states, Trump claims the Great Depression would have never happened when the U.S. continued tariffs. Not only did the U.S. continue tariffs, it actually increased them, which worsened and prolonged the U.S. into a global depression. The Smoot-Hawley Act of 1930 significantly reduced global trade. In the end of the Depression, 1932, notice some symbols here. Star of David and a okay. And an all-seeing eye.
Yeah.
So again, he's saying one thing, right? And there's a clip of him in the Oval Office. He said this guy just made like 9 point something billion during the thing. This one made this. Why? Because he doesn't care about bankrupting the average citizen, because the rich oligarchs are making money off of this. The technocrats are making money off of this. Again, when you look at
Heard of that.
art, yeah, and it points to the White House, the mouth.
Yep.
Back.
And that see that opening right there? It doesn't connect close. I remember seeing a documentary on the 5-pointed star. It doesn't connect all the way. It stops short.
Mhm.
And that is something to do with I forget exactly. Just bad things can come in and out of
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. Like,
yeah,
the
it's
White House
open because it's not closed.
Right.
So that's why the evil keeps coming in and out of that. Yeah.
We need a broom at Washington stat. Again, Microsoft owns the international patent for 606060666, the
So weird.
cryptocurrency system using humans who have been chipped as the miners. Now, what do you hear about with crypto? Mining for crypto?
Oh,
All right? Yeah. Dig around for fool's gold, literally fool's gold. And it's already on your barcodes every time you make a purchase.
Wow.
6 neutrons, 6 electrons, 6 protons. Man merging with machines. We split the atom, remake atom in our own image, right? Now, the interesting thing, like I said, with Catholic and stuff like that, Chabad.org says the 7 Noahide laws are universal morality. Catholic means universal. On Fox News, President Trump, the problems of the Middle East can only be solved when all the religions come together. Could be wrong, but so, I guess I'm wrapping up. Trump, this is when there's a guy the other day. They made a comment defensive of saying the real ID has nothing to do with Trump. You're right. It is an offshoot of the Patriot Act, which was not a good thing for Americans. We ended up being duped. That passed, I think, the Congress and Senate within 3 days. Implemented once they talked about it, I think in October. By the time it was like, okay, you guys usually sit on there and you throw in all this extra pork and whatnot, but you managed to run that through in 3 days, right?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't pass the smell test. And when you find, look, so that's an offshoot of that. You're telling me as well, it's for Americans. Hello? Most Americans are not domestic terrorists. I've been making a joke, domestic terrorist. I'm not a domestic terrorist. But you're telling me that the people, right, from over there who flew in a plane and crashed into here, we're keeping ourselves safe from them? But they were in planes. They didn't go through an airport. They just did their thing, allegedly, according to the original story. So why are we having to get it for our protection? You follow what I'm saying? The whole narrative of, oh, it's for your good, just like with Elon. We need to put a cap on, a restraining on the AI. Yeah? Well, who's going to be in charge? I'll volunteer. Oh, isn't that nice of you? Right? So this is where, with Pope Francis being 88-something years old, he's gravely ill. This is where this becomes incredibly significant with the trade war / with the Bitcoin thing, because Trump is the exchequer of the Vatican Bank and a little bit something more.
The Catholic Church went forth and spread the teachings of Christianity. Jesuits. What is a central bank? Not a central bank. What is a private bank? Public. And a public bank? Private. Sound mysterious, full of secrets? Well, that's the Vatican Bank.
So in 1929, they had a deal with Mussolini, the head of the fascist state. He recognized them as a real country, a little piece of land, and in return gave them about $1 billion in a day's money, compensating them for the loss of April 6th. They said, what do we do with $1 billion? We're clerics, not financiers. They hired a guy who was a brilliant financial whiz, Brandon Kroll, who came in. He understood arbitrage, he understood offshore banking, he understood how to move hard assets around, investments in real estate. He started to do that in the middle of World War II. He said to the Pope, I need a bank. It's not enough to have correspondent banks winging our money off the radar so the British and Americans can't follow what we're doing because they replace both sides. Americans embraced the Remphan and the Germans and Italians they didn't know who would win. They wanted to make sure they were covered. And that's the birth of the Vatican Bank, hail from an institution that had embraced capitalism, but one that suddenly has its own bank in the middle of the was.
They were in control of the Fed. So Trump did not leave until Pope Francis issued a papal bull announcing that by a certain date, the Vatican Bank, which was in charge of all, was the head executor, the exchequer of all of the earth-wide Federal Reserve banking systems in each country, would be handed over to one Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump is not just the executor, the exchequer of the U.S. Treasury, and therefore said within the United States, he is the exchequer for Earth. He is the exchequer for the treasuries for every single country on Earth. That's what I told you earlier. No human being in history has ever been more powerful, own more things, or richer than Donald Trump. And we are working on that as we speak. We have conversations with various representatives of China. I believe that it will all work out very well for everybody. China, Japan, the United States, and everybody in the region. As far as currency devaluations, I've been complaining about that for a long time. And I believe that we'll all eventually, and probably very much sooner than a lot of people understand or think, we'll be all on a level playing field.
Lovely. So you're not only in charge of the Vatican Bank, which Avro Manhattan will talk more in detail if you want to look up his book, The Dollar and the Vatican, and then God's Bankers, this guy. It's like I said, the originator of coinage, and Trump has name etymology to Hermes. And trade wars, World Trade Centers fell on 9/11. This is where I'm seeing we are very fast approaching the aspect of a new world order of church and state, of an unholy alliance merging together.
Yep, one world,
And
new world
yeah.
order, right?
Again, Jerusalem Post, Trump's election heralds the coming of the Messiah. It's Paula White Kane, this lady right here. She said,
Oh,
quote,
yeah.
to say no to President Trump is to say no to God. End quote. Huh? This is the kind of stuff we can expect to see from Christian circles. This Trump is God's anointed, chosen to save America and the human race from the deep state. And that is, if you oppose Trump, you oppose God.
But these are coming from Christian people, right? Saying these things.
Mega churches, Masons, Jesuit influence,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Whitmore is another guy that comes from the Jesuit background teaching. We can skip that. But again, I'm just finding it interesting because then I look into all this El Salvador prisons that they're doing. And Marco Rubio, he's an APAC acceptee. I'm sus of that. Trump's press secretary floats the death penalty punishment for vandalizing Teslas.
I don't know if that's going to go through. I doubt it.
20 years right now without a chance of parole, and now they're talking, and Trump just said, that the El Salvador president was there, I think yesterday, or was it today? No, it was yesterday. Build 5 more mega prisons for U.S. citizens. Call on a mic. Yep, he said that. U.S.
Who said that?
Trump to the El Salvadorian president.
Interesting.
U.S. citizens. Now, I found that interesting because, again, she's saying she wants to get rid of FEMA, but whatever they rebranded in March 1st of 2003, FEMA became part of the Department of Homeland Security, right? So that means Kristi Noem would be an enforcer picking us up. Lovely lady. So, like this, and I think one more slide, and we're pretty much done.
Okay.
This was making me tie it in with the Bible, because this is what Trump is pitching, and considering what we just had in 2020, made me wonder. This is what he says about tariffs and pharmaceuticals.
Tariff our pharmaceuticals, and once we do that, they're going to come rushing back into our country because we're the big market. The advantage we have over everybody is that we're the big market. So we're going to be announcing very shortly a major tariff on pharmaceuticals. And when they hear that, they will leave China, they will leave other places because they have to sell. Most of their product is sold here.
Sounds good. I would be for it.
But
Revelation 18:23. describes a state of utter destruction and desolation of Babylon, where the light of a lamp, representing life and prosperity, will shine no longer. The sounds of celebration, like the wedding of a bride and groom, will be unheard. Now, whether you want to go with light, as in thy word is a lamp unto my feet, therefore Christians, saints, people who are set apart from things of this world, they're advocating the truth of the gospel, they're actually calling out stuff, and they kill them, and that's the light that's extinguished. And or is it a getting rid of the light of liberty? Because the verse says this is because the merchants of Babylon, who were the powerful and important people of the world, technocracy, had deceived the nations through their sorceries and or pharmakia. Big pharma, pharmaceuticals. So you're basically saying
Sorcery.
we're going to put a cap on what they're doing. And what's this going to do? We don't want to do business with you anymore. Oh, well, we need to find an alternative. What do you guys suggest, Larry Ellison?
Mr. Trump, the AI miracle elixirs. Might I suggest we use this?
And create signs and wonders merged with Neuralink? I like it. And we start curing the blind. We start making the lame walk again. Governor Abbott, remember when I pitched that? I wouldn't be surprised if he starts walking soon with a Neuralink thing. I'm just throwing this out here. Very softballing. But it would correlate with what we get in Revelation. The nations are deceived by the rich men of the earth. And again, pharmakia, big pharma. I am seeing it. Again, merging man with the empire of iron and clay. In this last slide, the empire of the 10 clay toes. And again, Nebuchadnezzar's dream. Could that possibly be the club of Rome's 10 districts of earth? And this is the empire that does not last because Christ returns and crushes the empire before it continues. And again, he cuts the end short on behalf of the saints. Anyways, that is my learning about technocracy.
Wow, that was amazing. I really enjoyed that. It really was amazing. Good job, Brandon.
Thank you. I hope, like I said, I'm making a tour of this, so
Nice.
hope it resonates with some folks. Just to be aware, doesn't mean I'm right. Just to be
Right, I get it.
You see when something else pops up, going,
I know. That was amazing, though. Thank you. But before we wrap up, though, where can our listeners find you and your work and follow what you do? Where can they find you?
Yeah, Mana, double N, Mana Daily Podcast, Spotify, Rumble, YouTube, and if you can support, greatly appreciate it on Patreon. Really could use that. Down to $400 in my bank, so really could use help. And then Krollology, like my name, Kroll-ology, _101 on Instagram. And yeah, that's where you can find me. Thank you for having me on.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again for being here with us today and shedding light on the complexities of the tariffs and the strategy of Doge and the Doge team. So
Yeah.
your insights are incredibly enlightening, and I'm looking forward to having you back again so we can dive into other things deeper. And with that, we've reached the end of today's conversation. My deepest thanks to Brandon Kroll for lending his voice and vision to this episode. If what you heard today stirred something in you, don't let it end here. Please subscribe, follow, and hit that bell, and leave a positive review. That's how our Ohana grows here. The video version of this episode includes critical visuals that Brandon shares, so please be sure to watch this. I will include the links in the show notes below. If you feel called to support this work, I don't charge for content on Patreon, but donations help keep it going. And if you're in a position to give, please consider supporting Brandon directly. He's doing this full-time and he needs our help. Until the next time, guys, walk boldly, live truthfully, and never stop discerning. Bye!